Shop budget floors and more. Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
1819 News.
A bill that restructures the Birmingham Waterworks Board has been passed out of the Senate County and Municipal Government Committee. That bill is being introduced by State Senator Dan Roberts and would reduce the board members from 9 to 5, as well as who gets to appoint those board members. Currently, the Birmingham City Council appoints 4 of the 9 board members, but that would change and give 3-seat appointments to the 3 surrounding county commissions. Then the Birmingham mayor and lieutenant governor would appoint the remaining 2 board members. State Senator Jabbo Wagner and Shay Shelnut are co-sponsoring the bill. Wagner says he still gets complaints from his constituents about the billing and services of that water utility. Democrat State Senator Roger Smitherman is very much opposed to the bill, calling it a public lynching that seeks to bring the city of Birmingham to its knees. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Brian Dawson here, CEO of 1819 News. I'm also the host of 1819 News, the podcast, and we'd love for you to join us by listening to our weekly show on all the top podcast apps, both in audio and video format. At 1819 News, the podcast, we are in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama. Every week, we're having important conversations with guests from across this great state, all with the goal of equipping Alabamians to be in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama with us. New episodes are released weekly. I hope you'll join us.
Charges have been officially issued against a Birmingham woman for an Easter Sunday shooting and vehicular homicide. Shatise Jackson is accused of first shooting 27-year-old Mixie Bostick and then pinning him against the wall of a home with her vehicle. Bostick was declared dead at the scene. A dispute erupted between the two during a family gathering. Bostick was working as a juvenile detention officer in Jefferson County. The swimmer's body was recovered in Covington County. The 20-year-old swimmer was at Point A Reservoir with friends on Monday and ended up hanging onto a buoy due to the strong currents in that reservoir and never made it back to shore. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage.
And I'm Madeline Cannon. It's true, rates aren't as low as they have been for the past couple of years, but there are still many homeowners that could benefit from refinancing their current mortgage. There are a lot of things in life that are out of our control, but your mortgage rate is not one of them. If you currently have an adjustable rate mortgage, then you owe it to yourself to give us a call.
Adjustable rate mortgages make sense for some people in stable markets, but in this wild, ever-changing rate environment, it only makes sense to secure a fixed interest rate. A fixed interest rate will give you the peace of mind that your rate is locked. Your rate will not be subject to change with the political and economic tides.
At Alabama Home Mortgage, you can personalize your term. We offer 8-year to 30-year mortgages and everything in between. Grab your mortgage statement and give us a call.
Call Alabama Home Mortgage, the #1 mortgage lender in Alabama, today at 567-4223, or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36A, Equal Housing Lender.
If a carpet refresh is on your to-do list, now's the time to check it off, because right now you can take advantage of our Buy More, Save More savings. The more you buy, the more you save. Up to 15% on select special order carpet purchases. Plus, the Home Depot Home Services can handle the installation for you. All that's left is to enjoy that stunning new carpet and step into softness. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. Offer valid April 17th through May 4th. Receive up to 15% off special select order carpet purchases. Minimum purchase required. Exclusions apply. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
Adams Drugs has been committed to the healthcare of the people of the River region for over 62 years. We value the trust each customer has in our pharmacists, techs, and entire staff. If you have not experienced the difference of Adams Drugs and are not satisfied with the customer service that you get in the big box stores, we invite you to visit any of our locations and see how committed we are to your satisfaction. Adams Drugs offers a variety of services that you will not find in all pharmacies in the River region. Personalized compounding, area-wide delivery, wellness screenings, immunizations, medication consultations, and specialized packaging, just to name a few. Visit us at our website, adamsdrugs.net, and find the location nearest you. Adams Drugs has 12 convenient locations to serve you. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Adams Drugs is your local Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Stemming politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels. I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program here on a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday out of Montgomery, Alabama. The few weeks of the year where the weather is quite nice. We get a little bit of it in the spring, a little bit of it in the fall, but it doesn't last here in sweet home Alabama. So much to get to today, whether you're talking about Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent giving a big old speech on the world economic stage, Trump and J.D. Vance continuing to defend Pete Hegseth despite the woes coming after him, and so much more to get to. Protest on Yale, Jordan Peterson getting into the whole woke right debate that's ongoing online as we speak. So much to get to, but joining us, as he does on Wednesdays, the one, the only Jeff Poor, host of the Jeff Poor Show, and of course, editor-in-chief there at 1819news.com. How you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Now, you've been down at the State House today?
Yeah, it's Wednesday, so I'm here at this death trap of a building, but yes.
So any kind of scuttlebutt as they get into the final days? We only have, it's like less than a week or two's work days left.
Well, I tell you, and this is going to sound probably dull to your listeners, but the real fight in the closing days, and this is going to be pretty seismic if they were able to pull it off, it's not the tax bill, it's the Birmingham Water Works. For decades, it has been a corrupt playground for Birmingham Democrat politicians to, what they do, Joey, is imagine your customer base is you're the city of Birmingham, and you have Mountain Brook, Vestavia, Hoover, Trussville, Gardendale, all the suburbs of Birmingham as your customers, and then you have a monopoly. Why do you think that's going to go? No, it's not going well at all. It's corrupt. Some they have customers who don't get a bill, and then I have a couple employees. One, April Marie used to be on this show, and then Erica Thomas, also at 1819 News. And they're telling me about their water bill. So one month it's $80, and next month it's like $78. Next month it's $1,034. You had these just weird anomaly bills, and you had to pay them. And if they were wrong, they would refund you your money, or you get your water cut off. And finally, the Alabama legislature is finally acting on it. And what's kept it from acting on it is one state senator, if the bill even got filed in the House, downstairs, a body that he is not a member of, he would shut everything down. He would shut down the Alabama legislature. He would say, we're not passing a single bill as long as that bill is filed, and you need to give me some kind of assurance that this bill will never see the light of day. And then finally last Thursday, the Senate, as you know, started cloturing Democrats.
Right.
It was kind of a stroke of genius. Garland Gudger, they came up with this with the lieutenant governor. They had 5 bills they passed, and what they would do, the bill would be read on the floor like it's supposed to, but the lieutenant governor, who is the chair, would never recognize the Democrats. Essentially, when a bill comes on the floor, the sponsor is the first speaker, and they were all Republican bills, so it was all Republican speakers. And then for the whole time, the Republican who sponsored the bill would filibuster, and then they would cloture their own members, and that never gave the Democrats an opportunity to speak. And Gudger kind of showed how it's done. That's how you shut down the Democrats in a super majority, which should have been done a long time ago. But the real prize will be if they finally, once and for all, get this Birmingham Waterworks situation figured out.
What a mess. What an absolute mess. But I hope they actually get it figured out, because that sounds miserable. I think I've been a bit blessed with the situation in Montgomery. Nothing like that. And we were talking last week with Craig Monger about at one point, shut up, was it Singleton? It was Bobby Singleton. He was trying to raise his voice at the podium across from Clyde Chambliss, I believe. And the Lieutenant Governor, Will Ainsworth, hit his hammer or his gavel or whatever so hard, he cracked it.
Yeah, he was mad. And what happened there was like Singleton was trying to raise a point of order during the recognized Republican sponsor speech and wanted to get into debate with the chair, which was Ainsworth, and Ainsworth had to shut him down. And I kind of looked, and I thought I thought Security was about to pounce on Singleton because he wouldn't. And then he finally kind of like recognized that he was not going to win this fight. And you would have thought, man, the dejection on his face, like instead of packing Oreos today, Mom packed apple slices or something. I mean, it was really just obvious. So that's what we're to expect for the rest of the session. But there's only like, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days left, counting tomorrow. They'll save a day at the end of the session to override any vetoes that the governor may have. And sometimes they work that out ahead of time. But 2-day weeks for the next 2 weeks, and then that'll be a wrap.
Now, on this show, like last week, I believe you also had her on your show, Jennifer Boozer, I think on the same radio station down there with you. And
she is, yeah.
And I'm just wondering, is there any progress, or where are the, say, hemp bills? There's a lot of different ones, and how they roll them all into one with all the different interest groups. I'm just interested to see if they're actually going to push this through, make it law this session.
Man, I would be surprised. It's so late to get something like that done. And it's fascinating, Joey, because I hear it from all sides, but no one's really happy with this bill at all. Right. Like, they're totally unhappy with it. The people who are pro-marijuana are unhappy with it, and the people who are vehemently anti-marijuana are unhappy with it. And it's just saying we got to do something just for the sake of doing something is what it looks like to me. But that's like, it's funny how, like, the Greg Davis outcap or, Stephanie Smith, Alabama Policy Institute is aligned with the Jennifer Boozers in the State House right now.
It reminds me of gambling, where you see Eagle Forum working with some of the gambling interests in the state because the bill's not like what a mess. But Jennifer Boozer was quite convincing to me that this is a de facto ban on a lot of current operations for folks. But then I know people like Becky Garrettson. I know a lot of, say, the Eagle Forum and Stephanie Smith. They think this is like just legalizing it. And at the end of the day, it seems like this is what this state does. We create a crony scheme where we get to tax the heck out of this thing, and only certain sellers are allowed. We can't actually let the market run. So hopefully it dies. I think it is like the worst sort of compromise.
Yeah, I think so. But the right doesn't like it because it legitimizes marijuana. It gives them it doesn't necessarily make it, I guess it does make it legal, THC or whatever, but here's what it does. You're right. It just gives the state more power to sell it and tax it. And that's what nobody really wants that. Like, you really want to go buy your, like, THC tea at the ABC store? No. Probably not, but that's all this is.
No, I've been straight up on the show. I buy mild gummies from a 70-year-old franchisee out there near East Chase. And all these folks, all the big concerns about kids and stuff, they're like, we already don't sell to minors. We already have independent testing. Like, a lot of this is common sense. We're happy to see it. I think there's universal agreement with some of these, say, big convenience stores or certain package stores that put up some of the worst product on earth. And I've been saying for a while, if you buy your Delta 8 gummies right next to the horny goat weed there in the gas station, I mean, I kind of think that's on you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, who knows what's in those things, and people may not be aware of that.
True.
I guess I don't know what the solution is there. I mean, I would just, we were told we had to legalize all this to keep seizures from happening, right? back in the day, and now you see like every convenience store in the state.
Well, and then I guess there was another ruling with the Medical Cannabis Commission here in the state, Judge James Anderson. And I'm reading through all the legalese and all the different lawyer statements and spokesperson statements from all the different parties involved. I'm like, somebody fire up a big joint for me right now. I have to be high to get through this story. It's like that was passed in 2021, and we're still sitting here having lawyers are, I guess, making bank over this fight.
No, it was passed in what? When did it pass in 19?
It might have been
2020. No, it wasn't 2020 because that was COVID year. So it was 2019 when that was passed. I was still in the air in Huntsville, and I remember having Tim Melson and Larry Stutz on the same day, and they were both on the opposite sides of the issue on this medical cannabis. This is exactly why the state can't have nice things. And assuming you think that legalized medical cannabis is a nice thing, but furthermore, I mean, what do you think gambling is going to look like if you can't get this right? What do you think that fight, how long of a protracted legal fight is it going to be in Alabama if they do get some kind of gambling regime together, if they can't do this right? Because this is the perfect test case. This is how it will be. They'll set up a commission. People will apply for licenses and all of these different things, and then somebody will get their way. They'll take it to court. It'll get hung up in court. Meanwhile, people just have to sit around and just wait till they sort all this out for years and years and years till they finally do.
Yeah, I'm much more of a free market guy. Let the market. Well, in these stores, these hemp stores, CBD stores, it kind of operate this way. I think there are a lot of, say, shops that develop good standards and practices. Down the road, it might be, let's adopt that in state law. They're already doing it. It's a good standard, say, not selling to minors. And then we'll take out, say, the bad actors who are already flaunting current law, which I've been told by several in that industry, and maybe, crack down on them if they aren't going to adopt the best practices. But yeah, it's like we have to have this crony deal in the back room before the people can ever have a say on it, or if the market could actually work and work through these things. Very, very frustrating. And I think you're right. It's it's not just, Joey likes to take a Delta gummy at night as opposed to drinking a few beers. It's representative. It's a microcosm of so much of what happens in this state.
No, but you're right about everybody's going to get their beak wet here. And what I find is really interesting about this debate, Joey, is like, well, we can't just offer it because we want to make it legitimate or legal or whatever. Well, there's got to be a component here that makes sure it's hemp grown in Alabama by certain farmers or whatever, right? So everybody has got to we got to have some value in a homegrown product and so on and so forth. And when you do that, when you add every little step along the way in the process, it really just complicates it to where here we are, 2025, and a bill passed in 2019. Not a single prescription has been written yet.
Well, and I'm sure in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing kind of cleanup scoring how this session has gone. Real quick before I let you go, I've kind of got this pet theory that, have you been following much of the Pete Hegseth drama, and as well as a lot of people that were friends of Hegseth work for him being accused of leaking information? They've been shown the door. One of those guys, Dan Caldwell, was recently on Tucker Carlson saying, no, I didn't leak anything. They didn't even take my personal phone. They didn't do a polygraph. They really didn't tell us what we were being shown the door for. And I'm almost wondering if, it seems like the knives are out, in particular in the Pentagon, for a lot of, say, the Trump loyal folks. And they're using Hegseth as kind of the soft underbelly. They see him as the most vulnerable. But this is, to me, incredibly frustrating to see how deep, let's say, the so-called deep state is.
That's interesting to point that out. No, but we knew this is how it was going to be with him. Here we have this tatted up, enlisted guy running the Pentagon, and you have these political generals who just sneer at guys like that and don't take them serious. You knew that the Pentagon, I'm going to tell you, Joey, you don't need me to tell you, and this isn't like Chef 4 industrial media, let's say industrial complex kind of, propaganda or conspiracy theory here. Pentagon runs a very, very, very astute, very smart, very well-functioning political shop inside the Beltway. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Yep.
They don't always roll it out. But I watch this going on here, and this has just the makings of that. Like, they know the reporters to leak stuff to. They know how to do this and turn people against one another. This is just straight up out of the Pentagon politics playbook.
Yeah, it almost seems like certain folks are leaking this to certain reporters, and then they're blaming somehow creating evidence or convincing Hegseth that it was his friends who were the leakers, or at least Hegseth's playing that role as we speak. And it's such dirty pool. I'm very happy, though, it doesn't seem the president's biting on all this like he might have done in his first term.
No, he can't. He's got to stick with Hegseth. I mean, he took a bet on him, right?
Right.
And I don't think, like, it's a good look. You got some momentum here. I know the tariffs are kind of a speed bump, but if he drops Hegseth right now or even thinks about it, I mean, you know, then you start losing confidence. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to wear him down. I just think, Joey, that the media, the problem they have, and the left here has kind of, like, I know, worn out their welcome. You can't always be at a volume 12 on a scale from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And what is important, what these Republicans, especially on Capitol Hill, need to do is just tune this stuff out, because it does not matter.
Now, and one last thing before you go, if you get the time. It's more me just telling a story, because I've seen the report after report, the follow-ups by April Marie Fogel. Yeah, you used to host these hours here on this radio station. Against Samford University, the latest headline being Samford University to betray a 184-year tradition of alcohol prohibition with controversial Creekside district development. I have only spent a little time on Samford's campus. It was when I was a junior in high school. The summer between junior and senior year of high school, I was nominated and somehow got into governor's school. And it was there at Samford that year. And I remember within the second day, some guy cursed out his mom on the phone who lived in Mountain Brook, and she brought over a whole handle of alcohol to sneak into the dorms. And again, I'm this like little Catholic boy in his little enclave. I haven't done anything wrong other than Joey got a B in one class. Oh, God. And so I'm seeing that. I then walk out of the dorms one night, and I see two people summoning the beast with two backs and some guy's lifted pickup truck. And I'm like, well, I guess this is clean and sober Samford here. So I get they've had this squeaky clean image, but I'd imagine the actual living is maybe a different story. But to me, I think the biggest takeaway is they're not even living up to basic principles when it comes to all this woke stuff on campus, keeping in mind all the state laws that have recently been passed, pushing it back against all this stuff. I mean, and the way they're responding to April Marie's reporting, to y'all's reporting, is just a mess at this point.
Here's what it is, and this is kind of startling about, I mean, Samford, I grew up thinking of Samford was like Liberty or, you know, Hillsdale or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You name your private school, a lot of homeschool kids, so on and so forth. But they maintain that reputation, and this is what they take to their donors. This is what they take to parents looking at places who we were thinking about whether they're going to send their kids to college, and look at our squeaky clean, very conservative, very biblical institution here. Send your kids here. Send your checks here. This is what we are. And then on the inside, it's something completely different. And it really is. Now, let me tell you how this all started real quick.
Yeah.
April Marie Fogel did one story. This all started with one story. And as soon as we did that one story, a bunch of other people started coming to us with stuff, one by one. Hey, guys, y'all got to take a look at this. Hey, guys, y'all need to look at this. Hey, here's an email from a faculty member trying to start up an anti-Trump group on campus. Y'all need to take this. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of things going on here at Samford the public needs to be made aware of. And every time we try to reach out to those people at Samford, the administration would shut us down. And they would always say this, Joey. They would say, y'all don't report on the good stuff we do. You need to report on the good stuff we do before we entertain talking about the bad stuff that we do. It was just incredible. It's not how the news business works.
No.
But they've been running a game on the public, and it's worked for them for years. This Creekside development thing, I don't know why Samford's going into real estate business, but they're going to open a little entertainment district with bars and restaurants and things, which is fine. but it kind of betrays this tradition of abstinence of alcohol. You know, it's not Auburn or Alabama doing this. It's not a state school. This is what was the Baptist school. They disaffiliated somehow with the state Baptist, but this was the traditionally state Baptist school opening up a bar across the street. It's just insane, and that to me is just like, it may not be a crime. It's not even unethical, but it seems very of the public interest to me.
Yeah, and I love that my first brush with a college campus when I'm 17 years old is like the completely dry, sober Baptist university, and people are smuggling alcohol, doing a crazy slip and slide. People are hooking up, and it's just, it was like, what a mess. And, good luck controlling all that if kids are going to be kids. But it's, I don't know, great reporting. And it's fascinating that they wanted just y'all to be a PR firm. Guys, that's not what we do. Let's talk about the good things. It's like, get a PR firm then.
Yeah, but they don't do that. And look, the public needs to know about this. They can be whatever they want to be. It's not a 1819 News, Jeff Moore, Brian Dawson, or April Murray Fogel, but don't lie to us about it, okay?
There you go. Well, I appreciate it as always, Jeff. If folks want to check out what you're writing about, thinking about, how can they do so?
X.com/Jeff_Poor.
Thank you, sir. Again, folks, that is Jeff Poor. Always great having him here on the program. Yeah, I was like, man, if this is how it is at a Baptist school, I can't imagine going to Auburn. But then Auburn was, it's a mess. You try to put up good standards. You try to put on a good face. But kids, especially older teenagers heading into that college age, are going to be kids at the end of the day. And, maybe that's a lesson. If you really want to succeed in life, young man, especially in the political world, know how to put on a good face, and then you do all the dirty stuff and you don't tell anybody about it. I'm not saying that's good moral advice. I'm not saying that is a moral way of living. I'm saying that's a good way to get ahead. Is you're sort of double-minded. You put on a face in public, then you do the dirty deeds done dirt cheap behind the scenes. It's not a moral thing, but it seems to be a thing that a lot of folks do to get ahead. Like, you say what you need to say in the moment, and then you go have fun. And you have that few group of friends who are also putting on good faces that you have fun with. And now you got a secret together. And because you got that secret together, you can build on that and build like more secrets. And it's like this big circle of trust built on lies. It's my favorite thing about life, how you build trust. You build a dynamic circle of trust, and you can even make that circle real big if you build it on lie after lie. You want to join the club? You got to share the lie. Now, let's do some depraved stuff. Like, let's fly on the Lolita Express down to Epstein's Island. And we're just going to have fun. We're just going to party. Nobody's going to, film it or use it as blackmail. But it's amazing. Even the places where you'd least suspect there is some nasty stuff going on, human nature, finds a way. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Though I'm looking at the draw up of what this Creekside District development looks like, it might look like, and I'm like, looks pretty cool to me. Though it looks like every other frickin' development in a college town I've been around. It's nice, like big bars, modern architecture, and big windows, and you can enjoy the outdoors and the climate and whatnot, and get a little drunk and eat some food and especially if you're dude, start to look pregnant, just like your father looked pregnant before his. I wonder when that started. When did men start looking pregnant here in the South? Because I got a feeling it didn't used to be that way back with the greatest generation. Now we're all looking a little big, little pudgy. Like when the left first started pushing men can get pregnant, I obviously, like everybody else, thought that's absurd. And then I looked around at my surroundings here in Alabama. I'm like, yep, a lot of you dudes look preggers. Anyway, I have to hit a break. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services. And there at Pest Pro, Ashley and that fantastic team are ready to help you out with any and all of your pest control needs. They have that basic pest control protection where they're coming on a regular basis to spray inside, outside the home. Say you find some crazy issue down the road, of course, you have that relationship with you and with them, and they'll have your back. Also at Pest Pro, they can do basic termite protection and prevention in the first place. You don't want to let a termite problem fester. You don't want to Go years without actually getting an inspection. Of course, Pest Pro Services can do that for you. And of course, as it heats up, after we have these nice days of weather here in Alabama, you're going to see more and more of those nasty, nasty mosquitoes. And there at Pest Pro, they'll come out and get you on a mosquito treatment plan, and they'll be out there not once, not twice, like 8 times a year at the peak of mosquito season to make sure you can actually enjoy your backyard and the back porch or the pool or the front porch. You can actually enjoy your property that you've put so much time and money into without getting eaten up by those nasty, nasty mosquitoes. So check out Pest Pro Services today. You can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search for Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. Very active Facebook page there. And they actually are pointing out, they pointed this out yesterday, does your pest control company have a relationship with local mortgage lenders? At Pest Pro, they do, and it makes a big difference. So if you're dealing with local mortgage lenders and realtors, say you're working with Alabama Home Mortgage or Eddie Bader or somebody, and you need help with a real estate closing, they can make it smoother, faster, more efficient when you use Pest Pro. There's all sorts of things, not just residential pest control, they can do for you. You can always learn about more of that there on their Facebook page. Just again, search Pest Pro Services or just call them direct, 265-9990. That's 265-9990. When you want to know, call a pro, Pest Pro Services, and be sure to tell Ashley, that fantastic team, that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
For reliable electrical services in Central Alabama, trust the experts at Crosby Electric. Crosby's licensed and insured electricians are ready to tackle any project for your home. From troubleshooting, repairs, to installing new lighting and preventive maintenance. And Crosby understands the need for quality service for small business. Crosby is big enough for the largest job, yet small enough to bring real value. Visit CrosbyElectric.com to schedule your service. Crosby, powering Central Alabama with excellence.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
No one wants to wait on service for an overhead door. With 20 years in the industry, you now have access to the best with All Access Overhead Door. All Access Overhead Doors offers prompt professional service at affordable prices on all service and new garage doors for residential and commercial locations. All Access Overhead Door serves the river region and can take care of whatever you need when it comes to your overhead door. Remember, you have access to the best. All Access Overhead Door. Call and schedule an appointment today. 320-2440. And like them on Facebook. They sell the best and service the rest.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pestruccelli, General Sales Manager and co-owner of Blue Water Broadcasting. Even in the digital age, radio remains the most powerful reach medium for connecting with audiences. Its ability to engage listeners, reach a wide and diverse audience, and create real emotional connections sets it apart from other forms of media. Radio's adaptability and easy access ensure its continued relevance now and in the future. Want to learn how radio can work for your business? Visit BlueWaterBroadcasting.com. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas weather. Well, hi, everybody. It's still April, but we've got a forecast that is sounding more summer-like every day. Today, I think there'll be spotty showers and storms around, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Not every town will get wet. It's hit or miss, and you hear that every day in the summer. High today, 85. Low tonight, 63. Continued very warm this week. I got us around 87 on Thursday, 89 on Friday, with widely scattered isolated storms each afternoon and evening, but very small rain chances, and that continues through Saturday. Sunday, a little bit more sunshine with a high near 90. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
At CB&S Bank, we've been meeting the needs of our customers since 1906. Need help setting up new business goals? Our line of commercial loans can help you achieve them. Go to cbsbank.com to find a location near you. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Conduct yourself in a democracy.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. We're on a beautiful Wednesday out of Montgomery, Alabama. And joining us on the phone, following up on some of the Sanford conversation myself and Jeff Ford were just having, we have Anonymous. Hello, Anonymous. How are you?
Hey there. I'm doing great. Thanks so much for covering this.
Of course. Now, what piqued your interest in this as Jeff and I were talking about it?
Yeah, I feel like I'm finally seeing light shine on a problem that has been there for a while. I am an alum. I graduated in 2010, and I experienced drift myself from the biblical worldview. I came home sophomore year I had a biblical perspectives professor who argued against the veracity of Scripture. And I came home talking about that to my dad, and he was like, I'm paying what for this? And so that was, praise God, I did not untangle my faith and go down a progressive path, but that was, 15 years ago. And so I now have relationships with people who are on staff, faculty members, professors, and the ones that lean a little more conservative, I've been hearing red flags from for over a year at this point. And I feel like you guys are finally shining a light on what a lot of us have seen and are hearing is still going on at the university.
Well, and this seems like a not just an issue for Sanford, but any institution. And, I was born and raised Catholic, and obviously the Catholic Church's issues are well known. I'm worried that sometimes people will take a very trusted brand, for lack of a better word, and they'll just do whatever while trying to polish that brand, saying we're still this great conservative Baptist school here.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. And like Sanford could be a Hillsdale. You mentioned Hillsdale earlier. Like Sanford could be a gem in this state if they would just double down on. And I feel like everything the university has not put out any statements on anything. They've not met with 1819. It's all really confusing, and it's a shame to see.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. I'm glad we made you happy talking about it. I usually don't hit Birmingham stories, but I have spent some time there, like I was describing. And beautiful campus,
Absolutely.
Beautiful spot. I think I graduated Auburn in 2011, so we're contemporaries of a sort.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a shame, because I know a lot of folks do pay good money and they expect a certain standard, and to see that underneath the surface changing is unfortunate, to put it mildly.
Yeah, well, thanks again, Joey, because there's a lot of alum here in Central Alabama that we still write our check and we pay, and so we trust that it's staying on a certain path and holding to Scripture, and so I thank y'all for shining light on stuff.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anonymous.
Absolutely.
272-9228. And just to make clear, a lot of the governor schools kids, they were not, we weren't official Sanford students. We were just kids from all over different high schools, apparently like the best and brightest potential future leaders. See how that worked out in my case? Whew. Didn't work out at all. Remember having to play guitar in front of Bob Riley? That was fun. I was about to say something else. But no, it's a shame. I think often these big institutions, churches, universities, a lot of different institutions, governments in particular, try to put on, here's the brand we're selling. Here's the advertisement, the marketing we're going to push into people's faces. So they have this warm, cozy feeling, whatever type of feeling we're shooting for. And in the meantime, we can do all sorts of things behind the scenes. There is always esoteric, exoteric game going on, an inside and outside game going on. I mean, all human beings do this. The thing you might say in the privacy of your own home to your wife, to your mother, your father, to your kids, to close friends is probably not the same thing you'd be willing to say on even local radio airwaves like this, let alone even larger platforms or when you're officially speaking for a big institution. So that will always be part of it. Again, human nature doesn't go away despite the ideals we strive for and try to hew to. That said, some people exaggerate that inside-outside game way too much, where what's actually going on is what's happening on the inside, and the outside game is just that. It's just lipstick on a pig. It is just a smokescreen to divert people away from the actual truth of an institution, of a given action and situation. Of course, this, again, could happen at a church level, university level. I sometimes see it with local schools. You see it with governments, but you especially see it with the big boys, with big multinational corporations, with big governments like that of the United States or Russia or China, any of these governments that are playing big on the world stage. You're always going to see that official narrative they put out while they do things behind the scenes. I mean, who knows? Why would the people at Samford lighten up about this? Could be genuine disagreements and changes with the times. Thought you weren't supposed to get too caught up in the times if you're trying to hold to a certain ideal. It could have been a funding thing. It's like, we got all these things coming down the road. Maybe we need to save this funding or that funding. I'm not deeply familiar with Samford. I'm just trying to give a little bit of a charitable interpretation of why they would go down that road, that they're going to get pressure from certain groups. They're going to lose funding in certain ways. In certain departments you might spin up will attract a certain type of person that isn't going to be exactly the same as, say, other departments you have at your university. And it's always good to double check, to roll the log over and look what's underneath every once in a while. It's always good to check for you. Roll the boat out into the pond, do a little cane pole fishing, to check under that little boat. You might have water moccasins there. Always good to check, and we're happy to talk about it here on these airwaves. Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Joey, how are you, man?
Good. How you doing, James?
I'm okay. I'm just catching the back end of this conversation. With you throwing out funding, here's what I'll say about that. Regardless of what the funding is, you either have an institution or an individual or those running government, those in power, they either possess integrity or they don't. Yeah. And they have to make a decision if they're going to adhere to their integrity or not. But here's what I'll also share with you. Jell-O you can eat. I've yet to have a bowl full of integrity. Have a nice day, Joey.
Thank you, James. No, and this is why places like Hillsdale, I think, we're not taking federal funds. There are places that very early on realized we are going to stand as a bulwark against, say, the sign of the times. We are going to be, say, a beacon, a lighthouse in choppy waters and in dark horizons. And much to the credit of those places, you get some great scholarship out of there, and scholarship that, at least, even if you disagree with some of it, at least they're speaking with a voice that's their own. Ain't that the damnedest thing? That you look at places like Harvard, Yale, and Yale's in the news today. There's, I guess, pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel protests going on, big sit-in, all these tents. Saw some videos of students, Jewish students, being blocked from walking into certain areas. Can't really get the whole warp and woof of it off of a 50-second video shot on somebody's phone. But when you look at, say, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Columbia, Brown, Penn, like you go down the line of these major institutions, these major higher ed institutions, you would think, for instance, Harvard might have a point of view. And then Yale, wanting to distinguish themselves and define themselves differently than Harvard, Yale might have a different point of view. Because it's a competition for prestige. It's a competition for attracting the best minds, and maybe having your own unique voice, your own unique perspective and message that's well thought through, that you can defend, that's internally coherent, is a good thing. Yet that's not what we see. You see that Harvard and Yale and Princeton, just to name a few, as well as all the major media corporations, all the corporate media, most of the folks that went to those schools that are now working within the bureaucracy or working within the judiciary, they all speak with the same voice. And it would, I think, in a healthy society where you have the so-called marketplace of ideas, which in theory is a good idea. Have free and open and vigorous debate, and you have it out. Let the chips fall where they may in public. Let the best minds tackle all these issues. But instead of that, we get all these major institutions speaking with one voice, one opinion, one lie. Because again, every time you present something to the outside, it's not going to be as truthful, as candid as the things you might say when you're in close company and in trusted company. And I think that helps explain why all these major institutions of power, whether you're talking about the party line, the corporate line when it comes to public health or wars, so many other things, the reason they all speak with one voice instead of trying to stand up and develop their own unique institutional voice is because they're all trying to protect a particular interest that they talk about fairly openly in the back room. But we can't tell the public these things. In fact, I just saw a great clip. It was Glenn Beck sitting down with Sloppy Steve, sitting down with Steve Bannon on War Room. And Glenn Beck was just there in Fox. I don't know whether to praise or curse Glenn Beck for making me want to get into radio. I think I've had the chance, by the way, on Twitter, and he responded on X to tell him exactly that. I think he found it humorous. That said, Glenn is sitting there talking to Steve Bannon, and he's talking about that time period, of course, 07, 08. The bottom falls out from the economy. John McCain's like, fight with me, my friends, fight with me. Let's bomb Iran. And let's take a pause, my friends, fight with me. Let's take a pause because the economy, Barack, join hands with me. We'll figure this out. Of course, McCain loses that election. Barack Obama's ushered in, and the bank bailouts go through. And Glenn Beck at that time on Fox, about 2008, is making the argument on Neil Cavuto's show that, hey, this is not sustainable. If it builds in more moral hazard to the system, it's just going to reinflate something that is not structurally sound, in this case, the global economy. You're about to bail out all these big players who made these huge mistakes, and you're going to do it on the backs of working people. So not only are you throwing cost on the everyday working class in this country, the thing you're spending the money on isn't actually fixing the underlying problem. It's just kicking the can down the road, blowing up the bubble all once again, and someday it's going to pop. It's kind of like an addict who's like, well, just give me another shot, give me another hit. I need that, or else I'll go into withdrawals. That's what Glenn essentially was describing on Neil Cavuto's show in 2008. The segment ends. Again, it's this outside-inside thing. The segment ends. And Glenn says, thanks for having me on. And him and Cavuto had always gotten along. And I believe Cavuto, without looking up, says, you're like the most irresponsible person I probably known. Beck's like, why? Like, do you not agree with what I just said? If you don't agree, you should have said something on air. He goes, no, I do agree. But it's so irresponsible to tell people that. Because it'll freak people out. Doesn't that reveal so much? That whether it's media or top flight CEOs and C-suites all around the country, or it's senators or top administrators and this or that agency, presidents, everybody at the top level, to make sure you little people, the working class, don't panic, they will lie to you. They will lie to you like you're a child. Ask yourself, have you ever lied to your children? Or at least withheld something from them? Mm-hmm. They really genuinely believe that we are lying to you. We are withholding the full truth, that we tell ourselves in the back room. We're doing this for your own good. Honestly, that's the worst type of tyranny. An involuntary situation where those that are imposing their will upon you do so with the approval of their own conscience. Will there always again be this inside-outside game? Of course. In fact, if there was no public face people could put on, if we just never could withhold or understand the moment we're in, it would be a mess. If you just could understand and see people's stream of consciousness, you're getting a taste of that on Twitter. It's nasty. It's crazy. So it would always exist. But you would like at a certain point the lies to actually be useful and not to be a complete betrayal of the very people you're claiming to help. And yet that's the world we live in. Bunch of brands that have now lost their shine, lost their prestige, people groping for what's true, what's not. So they turn to the most unexpected of folks to help get the job done. Will they get the job done? That's something we're going to have to wait and see. But before too long, we will see. I'll stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have Austin Baranko with Invista Advisors after this break.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
You want your floors to scream new, fresh, and stylish. But if yours are groaning, tired, old, and outdated, you're in luck. Because the Prattville Spring Sale is your opportunity to revitalize your floors while you save on the best brands available, including Mohawk, with perfect and professional installation and Prattville's unbeatable lifetime warranty.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement. Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
Start shopping now at PrattvilleCarpet.com.
Since 1966, Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches has been more than just a place to stay. It's been a place to belong. For children facing hardships through no fault of their own, our ranches provide more than shelter. We offer a warm home, a loving family, and a future filled with hope. With open arms, we welcome these young hearts, giving them the love, structure, and guidance they need to heal, grow, and thrive in a warm Christian environment. Together, we can give Alabama's children the chance they deserve, a chance to dream, to succeed, and to feel truly cherished. Every donation stays within Alabama, directly impacting the lives of the children who need it most. Join us in making a difference. Visit AlabamaSheriff'sYouthRanches.org. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and download our app from your app store. We'd be honored to have you as a part of our mission to lift up Alabama's youth. And remember this, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men and women.
iTaco has delicious, authentic Mexican food. Enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner at iTaco. Tasty shredded beef street tacos, even lamb tacos on Saturdays. That's iTaco on Decker Lane, right across from Arrowhead off the Atlanta Highway.
The River Region's first and only News Talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Now, I couldn't get Austin Baranko on the line, which means he's probably busy with a client, but that's always good news as far as my sponsors go. And of course, Austin Baranko is a big part of the team there at Invista Advisors. You've heard Brant McDonald on these airways for years, same company. And Austin's working alongside Brant and the rest of that multidisciplinary team to help put together a plan for you specifically. Of course, that will involve things like investment strategy, but that's not the whole warp and woof of the strategy. If you actually want a all-around strategy that is cultivated and crafted, it's a bespoke strategy, if I could put it that way. It's so customized to you, depending on where you are in life. Maybe you're a small business owner. Maybe you run a nonprofit or an endowment. Maybe you just have a great estate. It's a little bit complicated. So you want to set up, say, end-of-life things in a responsible way, or you're just looking to preserve that wealth in the long run, protect yourself, your family, and those you love. Invista Advisors has your back. Again, they will create a customized plan that will help you go through the future. You know, if you're trying to make decisions on your financial future by just looking at the headlines, you're making a big mistake. Call the team there today at Invista at 387-0094. That's 387-0094. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. Now I'm just seeing Fox Business pointing out Bitcoin briefly tops $94,000. I love it. I love it. I love it. Markets having a very good day. NASDAQ up about 3.25% at the moment as we speak. And I love seeing Bitcoin climb back up. And it's fascinating seeing the inflows of gold and gold also soaring as well as Bitcoin now showing that, yep, this will probably be a great long-term store of value. It's a little more liquid than gold. But if you actually look at the whole plan coming together, maybe under Secretary Bessent and President Trump, it could be we see a whole, say, revisiting or a bit of a reset of the world economic order of what Bretton Woods helped put into place. We have clips coming up of Bessent calling out the World Bank, the IMF, talking about how hundreds of nations have now come to the Trump administration and said, hey, we want to make a deal on these trade tariffs. Of course, India was the big announcement yesterday that they have reached terms of reference, a general framework to work through a trade negotiation with one of the largest, if not the most populous nation on the planet. So there's a lot of movement going on. Again, we probably won't see the full bloom of these flowers till the final quarter of this year, maybe the first quarter of next year. But right now, despite the Trump administration getting a bit bogged down with the deep state, especially in regards to the Pentagon, there's still signs of hope. Don't let the, say, press and the media games get you down too much. They're designed to do just that. Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. I believe I am flying solo the entire day today again. Hope Eddie's doing all right.
Always be closing.
Yeah, we know that's his mantra. No, he is working hard. He was sending me some stuff, getting a lot done. Him and his great partner Hannah there. So y'all stay tuned. Second hour coming up.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. Veteran Illinois lawmaker stepping down next year. Democrat Senator Dick Durbin says he will not seek re-election in 2026, a move that suddenly puts a lot of pressure on his party, already facing a difficult path to reclaiming a Senate majority. 6.2 earthquake in Turkey earlier today. No fatalities reported as yet, but hundreds of people have been hurt. Secretary of State Marco Rubio making some huge changes in his department. He says, quote, redundant offices will be removed and non-statutory programs that are misaligned with America's core national interest will cease to exist. He also says we will drain the bloated bureaucratic swamp. And stocks have shot up today following President Trump's announcement of a 90-day pause on tariffs. This is SRN News.
Don't settle for less. Your dog deserves the best. That's why we created Dr. Fido's, a plant-based dog food topper packed with 40 ingredients, made with whole foods from carrots to bananas. And the best part, no cooking, no chopping, just stir it into their food. Go to drfidos.com and order today. Veterinarian developed, dog trusted. This is the human grade dog food topper that gives you peace of mind. Dogs can't write 5-star reviews, but their owners have.
I've always thought that dog food seems like a little bland, and so this helps give it a little bit of flavor, just something interesting for them, and yeah, they really love it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Spoil them with the best. Call 888-388-PAWS or go to drfidos.com, drphytos.com. And for limited time, order now and receive a 10% discount with our money-back guarantee by using promo code BALANCE.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. It's time to get those gardens ready. From seeds to plants to fertilizer, MPM has what you need. Shop MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturdays, 8 to 1.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. It's still April, but we've got a forecast that is sounding more summer-like every day. Today, I think there'll be spotty showers and storms around, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Not every town will get wet. It's hit or miss, and you hear that every day in the summer. High today, 85. Low tonight, 63. continued very warm this week. I got us around 87 on Thursday, 89 on Friday, with widely scattered isolated storms each afternoon and evening, with very small rain chances, and that continues through Saturday. Sunday, a little bit more sunshine with a high near 90. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE's 25 and 25 has you covered. For just $25 in closing costs, you can tap into your home's equity. No hidden fees, no headaches, just extra cash. Visit your local ASE Credit Union branch today. Federally insured by NCUA. NMLS 420259. Terms apply.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your cause, your ASE.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed announced that legislation should be coming this week to allow Montgomery to start a city-operated school system. Reed expects State Senator Kirk Hatcher, who represents the Montgomery area, to carry the bill. Details of the legislation were not readily available, and the bill had not been filed as of Tuesday. The state of Alabama legalized medical cannabis 4 years ago in 2021, but needy patients are still waiting for access. A court ruling this week resulted in the licenses to grow and dispense medical marijuana issued by the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission being tossed out, effectively starting the process all over from the beginning. President Donald Trump will be giving the commencement address at the University of Alabama. Trump announced on social media he'd agreed to do the commencement address at two really great places, the University of Alabama and West Point Academy. President Trump will be speaking at Alabama's spring commencement exercises on Thursday, May 1st. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
It's a Trump country. We live in the southeast. We drink sweet tea. We don't drink socialist Kool-Aid. Yeah.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. (272-9228) if you want to get on the conversation. Again, that's 334-272-9228. If you ever want to catch the show online, maybe listen back if you call in. Want to listen back to your call, you can always go to Joey Clark Live on YouTube or rewatch on X at the Joey Clark there on X. We've got a few folks who are calling in. Let's go to line one and talk to Dave, who's been very patient. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hey, Joey. Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I really wanted to call to follow up on something you said.
Mm-hmm.
I called in today and we talked a little bit about the Catholic Church and a little bit of your faith journey. But before that, you had mentioned the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah.
I want to get to that. But let me back up and jump into what I appreciated your guest this morning, Jeff, and what he had to say, and the woman who called in, Anonymous. I concur with a lot of what she said, or not about that particular school, but in general, I've observed similar things at some schools where I was involved. But then, and another back thing, I just want to pick up a couple of threads. A week or so when I called, I gave a plug for 1819 News and how much I appreciate them putting tons of news articles in my email, which I don't read them all, but I appreciate them. And the other thing I didn't say, which I think is a great asset if you become a member, are their quarterly magazine publications.
Yes.
The most recent one, I like them all. One of them I ordered 10 copies to hand out to friends, it was several months ago when they were basically looking at Alabama heroes who paid a price because they spoke up and stood up for what they believed. But the most recent one I read was about the gambling issue and how pernicious, evil, and destructive it is, and we need to be aware of that. And I noticed April Marie Fogel had a piece in there, so I paid close attention to that because I had heard her here on the air for a while. Anyway, those things said, I wanted to get back to the Shroud of Turin, if that's okay, just for a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned it, and I've read things about it over the years and sort of thought it was really interesting, but never paid it a lot of credence because I wasn't sure about the veracity. But I started listening to some podcasts and videos and interviews, and it's really intrigued me. I've listened to 4 or 5 thanks to you, and I'm amazed at what is in the Shroud of Turin that's been discovered and how it looks like it must absolutely be credible going back to the time of Jesus. It may or may not be Jesus, but a lot of things point to it being indeed his burial shroud. So I wanted to ask you, have you just read some headlines, or did you watch or listen to a particular podcast?
I watched at length and kind of rewound it and was like, what was that? Michael Knowles talking with Dr. Jeremiah Johnston, also picked up Jeremiah Johnston on with Glenn Beck, kind of seeing the same presentation but with a different interlocutor. I found in particular the presentation with Knowles was very impressive, very interesting. How they said that, hey, all that carbon-14 dating in the late 80s doesn't really hold up under scrutiny, and they actually finally released the raw data. It looks like they actually tested a patchwork of the original shroud, a patchwork, not the actual original shroud. And then when you get into, say, how unique Jesus' crucifixion was, does that show up on the shroud itself? Then you get into, could this be a forgery? How would an artist even know to have these certain aspects to it? And could you even recreate it today, given it's only, a few micrometers thick, which suggests an immense amount of energy and light within a billionth of a second, or else it would have burned the whole thing up. I mean, pretty crazy things. Yeah, I found Jeremiah Johnston. That's the guy to look up, folks. His presentation was quite compelling.
That's the one that I watched. I haven't yet watched the interview with Glenn Beck. I thought maybe it'd be similar, but I started watching a 3-hour interview between 2 Catholic priests, one of whom for 5 years has been exclusively studying the shroud. I found it quite intriguing, enough so that out of a 3-hour interview, I got through about half of it, and I still hope to watch and listen to the other half. But it was amazing. And I wanted to thank you for mentioning it because it piqued my curiosity. And as I've listened to now at least 3 interviews, podcasts, I'm convinced that there's no question. That's amazing. Wow. And so thank you, Joey. And so you've been influencing my listening habits. It was because of you I listened to a biography of Elon Musk also. So you got any suggestions on books I ought to listen to?
Books, I don't know. If you want to do a reminder, if you ever haven't, of Greek myth and leading up all the way to, say, the Iliad and the Odyssey, Stephen Fry did a retelling of Greek myths starting at the beginning with Uranus and all this stuff. And there's his retelling of the Odyssey's coming out this month in May. And it's just fantastic. It isn't as dense. It's very entertaining, very good narrative. Fry, if you know him and his voice, reads it himself, very compelling. And that I love stuff like that, knowing a little more of the, say, Greco-Roman, because I was just listening to another Michael Knowles interview this morning while getting ready for the day, where he talked to a guy who's a scholar on the Book of Enoch. And he was tying in a lot of things Jesus says in scriptures, as well as, say, allusions in the Old Testament, including in Genesis, right? The sons of God come down and, say, intermingle with women and stuff. It's kind of this throwaway line. He says there are 3 different versions of the Book of Enoch. There is one that he believes, and most scholars believe, is before Jesus is around. But number 1, it's prefiguring, it's foreshadowing of Christ is incredible. The Christological sort of prophecies within that book before Christ are amazing. And it fleshes out this whole idea of the so-called Nephilim and how in the Golden Age, and every different society called it different before the flood, how it does, the Hebrew understanding for the time does somewhat line up with, say, the Greeks and all the other, say, ancient civilizations. And I just love doing deep dives on that stuff. I don't know what's true. It's just fascinating seeing all these connections, especially in light of the latest scholarship.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, the Greek mythologies, I haven't read hardly any of them. And someone had a quote on this show, I think, recently about Dante's Inferno, and I tell myself I need to listen to that one, just for educational purposes. And hey, also another interview you might be interested in, and it may not give you any new information, but Joe Rogan was interviewing Mel Gibson about the Shroud of Turin, and that was interesting. There's a lot of people like Joe Rogan.
Oh, I think I watched that Gibson interview that you're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Where he talked about the sequel, and it's going to be some sort of, I don't know if the sequel to The Passion of Christ, he almost sounds like he's going to try to show Christ descending into hell. And I don't know, he needs to be careful. It might go into like it's somebody's psychedelic trip or something. I don't know how he's going to pull that off. He's a much better, I couldn't direct a movie, but we'll see.
I didn't hear that part. I didn't listen to it all. I was just hearing the discussion about the Shroud of Turin, and maybe I cut it off before it got to that part. Yeah. Well, hey, enjoy your show. I know you're going solo today, so I hope you have a good day and don't get burnt out. And I hope you have a lot of good calls. Appreciate it. God bless. Take care.
God bless, Dave. Thank you, sir. 272-9228. Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, this is Curtis.
Hey, Curtis, how you doing?
This is are all topics open?
Sure. Why not?
Oh, okay. So anything's open?
I mean, within reason, sir, of course.
Okay,
yeah, what's on your mind? What's on your mind today?
Well, no, it's actually a question for you, Joey, because it's the kind of thing that you'd be up on, and I missed it. So my question is on the whole. So you'll understand the point of my question very quickly. So I know we just hired a new superintendent of schools and all that kerfuffle, and I know the guy came from Selma, and of course Selma schools are just as disastrous as our schools. So my question is, it seems crazy to hire a guy who comes from failing schools. Did he move the needle there in a positive direction, or is that unknown? Did he do good things there, even though perhaps they were failing?
I have to admit, I didn't do a deep dive, and of course, I'm not on the board and didn't do the search myself. I tend to look at, say, the powers that be in this city who wanted a wider search, and if I have to, on first blush, agree with them. It is possible that Dr. Berg did move the needle some for Selma, but not enough. And I think we have lowered our expectations way too much in this, and I'm still peeved by the way they showed Dr. Brown the door. It seems like whether it's the board it's the board. And I've seen people, my mother was very good friends with Charlotte Meadows over all the years when she was on the board, helped somebody run for school board. It was one of the first campaigns I worked on. And so stretching back years, even with earnest folks on the board, it's always been a mess. I don't know even if you got the best superintendent at this time, if they're not going to let that guy actually run the system, if they're going to try to micromanage it, we could be in a problem. As far as like actually looking at everything Dr. Bird did at the Selma City schools, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. It just seems like, it's sad because it just seems like here we go again. Nothing's going to change. Our schools are just going to go sideways or downwards, and there's no hope.
Well, and this is where I'm like, it would be such a heavy lift to actually go to a city school system. And heavy lift is even putting it mildly. But maybe I am in this mood across the board, national, state, local. Maybe it's time to break glass and try something big, bold, and different if we're not seeing improvement here in the next few years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is kind of Trump is. Let's try something instead of just fail and spend more money. Let's try something.
Right. And like I said, I don't have a lot of faith in the current structures. And of course, I'm biased. I'm a product of private Catholic education, not the system here. But it should tell everybody something when, people move to this area. They're looking to live in either the communities around Montgomery or they're looking at Catholic, ACA, St. James, Trinity, MA. Like they're looking at all the private schools or trying to at least get their kids into the magnet system, which is, to their credit, pretty kick butt. But there's only so many spots in those magnet schools.
Right. Yeah. It's just, it's school. I mean, crime in schools, and just nothing's improving. So, okay. Well, thank you for that.
Appreciate it, Curtis. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And folks, especially fellas out there, but ladies, maybe you notice something, a change in your dude. If you're feeling run down and tired all the live long day, if you're never in the mood, or even when you do kind of work up, like it was a great day, honey, and I'm kind of, or however you broach the subject, and yet you're not performing. Maybe you're seeing unwanted weight gain too and loss of muscle mass. And it's not like you're working out less, you're less active. It's not like you're eating more, but you're seeing that all the same. Could be you're not sleeping well. Like you wake up tired, even after laying in bed for something like 8 hours. Well, all these symptoms could be pointing towards a problem of low testosterone. And it's a problem not just for guys who are getting older into their 50s and 60s. You're seeing a lot of young men, even in their 20s, with low testosterone numbers, and it really can harm your quality of life. Why not stop by Montgomery Men's Health, especially before you check out any national brand or any of these big solutions? No, go to Montgomery Men's Health. Go local. Let them do a lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And if you do have low T, they have treatments there that can truly change men's lives, including treatments that can make you feel better the very same day. But after treatment, men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, and, you got a libido. You're actually in the mood sometimes. So y'all check them out today. That number for Montgomery Men's Health, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today. And speaking of that topic, RFK Jr., we can do the bigger presentation. There was a huge presentation yesterday about getting all these dyes, all these artificial colorings out of our food supply, which I think is a worthy goal. They're going to need the science to back it up, but I think that is something that is moving as we speak. In fact, other developed nations around the world have already gotten a lot of this stuff out of their food. So maybe you don't have to do a brand new research, recreate the wheel. You already have some pretty good information that other governments have already followed through with. But after the big announcement, RFK Jr. joined Jesse Waters, who is, I think, in the running for Shiny Bastard of the Year alongside Matt Gaetz. But I like them both, I suppose. RFK Jr. says something astounding here. This was last night as Maha takes on food dyes. Let's listen in together.
A teenager today, an American teenager, has less testosterone than a 68-year-old man. Sperm counts are down 50%.
Wait,
girls are
an
hitting
American
puberty 6 years
teenager
early.
has less testosterone than a 60-year-old man?
That's right, because the testosterone levels have dropped 50% from historic levels.
Wow.
And, and that is a problem. And it's an existential problem. But that is only when we have obesity. That is off the charts.
Yeah.
Again, when my uncle was president, we had about 11% of kids had obesity. Today, 74% of Americans are obese or overweight. And, in Japan, it's 3%. So, and that's because they pay attention to what they're feeding kids in school.
Yeah, the Japanese are very skinny, except for the sumo wrestlers. Those people, not so skinny.
I got to hear that first stat again. Hold on.
Spiraling. A teenager today, an American teenager, has less testosterone than a 68-year-old man.
Now, I'm sure that there are some 68-year-old men out there like, yeah, I'm really cooking, son. And good for you. But most guys, as they especially head into their 60s, start to see that natural decline in testosterone. So if teenagers have less testosterone than, say, a 68-year-old does on average, what do you think that's going to do to not only the teenagers, that individual's quality of life, but all the spinoff effects in the rest of society? It might explain a lot of the patterns we're seeing here. Like, you really don't have that motivation anymore. And it's one thing to feel that when you're on the, say, back half of life. You're a little over the hill, brother. When you're just starting and you're already moody enough as a teenager, this is only going to make things worse. Now, I'm sure there are people that power through. I'm sure there are teenagers that are stock full of testosterone. But you're seeing it more and more. We have these fat, chubby, low-T losers who maybe aren't to blame themselves. It's just all the stuff they've been ingesting, all the habits they've been engaging in. It's crazy. And I love that RFK Jr. and Maha are actually not giving up on this. They're actually pushing this. Now I want to go to the big, press conference, the big announcement. People saying RFK Jr. gave one hell of a speech when it comes to removing these artificial dyes from our food supply. So let's listen in together, folks. Again, this is Bobby Kennedy yesterday.
Thank you, Governor Morrissey. Thank you, Speaker Schultz. Thank you to Dr. Mark Hyman, who's been my friend and partner on these issues for over 20 years.
Wait, his last name's Hyman?
Thanks, Vonnie Harry, who's been an extraordinary leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marty McCary. I'm so grateful that you agreed to join the administration. And Jay Bhattacharya, will you guys come up here and stand behind me? We have an amazing team at HHS. When my uncle was president in the 1960s, we had the healthiest people in the world. And one of the basic assumptions of our country was that because we were robust people, because we were vigorous, because we were tough, we had what my uncle called this beef jerky toughness, that was responsible for our country being the land of the brave and the home of the free, the greatest industrial power in the world, the wealthiest country. We owned half the wealth on earth when my uncle was president, and part of that was because of the vigor of our society. And that's one of the reasons he started the Presidential Council on Physical Fitness, because he felt that Americans were getting soft and was going to steal from us and erode all of our leadership, our moral authority, and our values, and our role as an exemplary nation. And since his death, we've had this extraordinary chronic disease epidemic. When my uncle was president, 3% of American kids had chronic disease. Today, it's around 60%. And these are a broad category. The ones that Marty mentioned, like ADHD, the neurological disorders, ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, tics, Tourette syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, and autism. All of these are injuries that I never heard of when I was a kid. They were not part of the nomenclature. They weren't part of the dialogue. There was zero spent in this country treating chronic disease when my uncle was president. Today, it's about $1.8 trillion annually.
Damn.
It's bankrupting our nation. 74% of American kids cannot qualify for military service. So how are we going to maintain our global leadership with such a sick population? We have all these autoimmune diseases, these exotic diseases. Again, I never heard of juvenile diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Crohn's disease, and 100 others that were just unknown when I was a kid. I never knew anybody with a peanut allergy. I never knew anybody with a food allergy. Why do 5 of my 7 kids have allergies? I never knew of anybody who had eczema. I knew of a very small number of children who had asthma, but that has exploded as well today. And our fertility is dropping dramatically. Teenagers in this country today have the same testosterone levels as 68-year-old men. Our girls are reaching puberty 6 years early, from 10 to 14 years old. And this is existential for our country. And we have to address it. And I want
to pause there real quick. Donald Trump hearing out and then teaming up with Bobby Kennedy is one of the best decisions he's ever made. Donald Trump's made a lot of great decisions. But just listening to this and also seeing the men, whether it's Marty McCary or in particular Jay Bhattacharya, who was right. He was right on during the pandemic. He was one of the co-authors of the Great Barrington Declaration, which called out the entire lockdown scheme, the big public lie pushed by public health and so many others. So to see that team together, to see Bobby Kennedy actually moving the needle on some of this stuff already just a few months in, you know, the Elon Musk decision, I think, was a great decision by Trump. The whole Doge idea. I think Trump's saying, I want to end wars, and I'm going to appoint people that are actually loyal to that cause of ending wars and resetting the purpose, refitting the purpose of our military. A lot of great decisions he's made. But this particular one, this might very well be the most historic. And we'll see. Could be getting out ahead of ourselves here. But it's very refreshing to see RFK Jr. actually in the spotlight here, surrounded by two very qualified individuals. But let's keep hearing what Bobby Kennedy's throwing down.
Probably, you know, what when I met with, and I want to commend the food companies for working with us to achieve this agreement or this settlement. And when I went in a few months or about a month ago to meet with a few food companies, I was talking with my staff about these petroleum-based dyes, and I said, if they want to add petroleum, if they want to eat petroleum, they ought to add it themselves at home. But they shouldn't be feeding it to the rest of us. And without our knowledge or consent. And unfortunately, we're going to get rid of the dyes, and one by one, we're going to get rid of every ingredient and additive in food that we can legally address. One of the problems is that the industry, which all of these industries, cast a dark shadow historically over this agency. And there's so many conflicts that we are now systematically eliminating. That has allowed them to suppress the science.
Yep.
There's shockingly few studies, even on food dyes, and on all these other all these other ingredients as well. And Jay Bhattacharya, who is here and who is running the director of NIH, is now narrowly targeting these kind of food additives for scientific study, so that one by one we can start eliminating them where they can. Where we can't, there's things that we'll never be able to eliminate, like sugar. And sugar is poison. And Americans need to know that. It is poisoning us. What? It's giving us a diabetes crisis. When I was a kid, I always say this. A typical pediatrician would see one case of diabetes in his lifetime. Today, it's 1 out of every 3 kids who walks through his office door. In our most recent study from NIH, 38% of American teens, it's half our adult population. This is existential. We are spending as much on mitochondrial disorders like diabetes as we spend on our military budget. We can't continue to exist like this. And the problem is industry is making money on keeping us sick. As Jay pointed out, ADHD is associated with all these behavioral disorders. But those disorders are treated not by changing our diet, but providing medications to treat our kids. And they get medicated, and that's the only solution. And, I would point out that there is part of the etiology of these diseases is a kind of media malpractice, a mass psychosis that has our media not talking about this. And one of the possible reasons for that is the amount of money that's coming from the pharmaceutical companies into our media and from these food companies for the advertising. And the advertising has at least plays a factor. So that revenue, the extraordinary revenue stream, in disabling their capacity or their inclination for skepticism and for critical thinking. So Americans don't know what they're eating, and they don't know the implications of those things.
And, I was talking earlier about how all these institutions of power, whether media or universities, they all seem to speak in one voice. Well, when you look under the hood, it's like it could be as simple as, well, who pays your bills? That includes research into nutrition at the university level. A lot of it funded by the big food companies. Yeah, I know the Farm Bill. Make sure Alpha's not like right behind me or in the ceiling or something. Those Alpha agents. I'm not saying anything about y'all. But the Farm Bill is always a big deal. But isn't it interesting how the interests of the farmers are always packaged with the whole food stamp conversation? So essentially, it's the government funding particular big interests that at the end of the day don't leave your population healthier. And in fact, are leaving the part of the population that is relying on government assistance even more unhealthy, to where they have to then get more assistance down the road. And he's right. The FDA, so many of the regulation and regulatory bodies, the departments that are governing American health, they've been captured. And it's not just them, it's the media, it's the universities, it's so many others. It goes back to on so many issues, whether it's war and peace or public health in general, like pandemics and the lockdown regime, or in this case, our food supply. The basic things that are in products that you have to really try hard to avoid a lot of this stuff. Why is it that when you question these things, you're branded as some quack or kook or crazy outsider or yada, yada, yada? It'd be one thing if NBC's always like, hey, the food we have is great and RFK's a kook. Well, why isn't it gain, say, advantage over NBC? ABC doing an opposite story. I don't think it's just the profit motive alone. Like you know how much money CBS could make if they did hours of expose on Jeffrey Epstein? If they did hours of expose on the pharmaceutical companies, on the food companies? It's not like you couldn't drive ratings with all these things Bobby Kennedy or anybody else is talking about. You could have amazing ratings. So I don't think it's just a money thing. I think it has more to do with these particular networks of money, these particular strings that are attached. And cutting the strings is very difficult. We're going to have the sure thing with all these strings attached. Don't rock the canoe. Let's just keep on going how we've been going. It's been good for business. If you rock the canoe, well, we might fall in the water. And we don't know how to swim anymore. We've been in this thing for so long. Let's finish up here with Bobby Kennedy.
And for those products, Mark Hyman says in his book,
Mark Hyman,
the 10-day sugar detox diet, which I'll give a plug to, is a very good book. He talks about how dangerous sugar is and how it's as addictive as crack. And our children are addicted to it from when they're little kids. Our agency recommends, I think, a huge amount of sugar for kids from when they're born. And it's hurting them, and it's addicting them, and it's changing their taste buds so that they crave it. And it's disabling our population. So for those ingredients that we can't ban legally, we're going to start informing Americans about what they're eating. And we're going to try to work with Congress and the White House to make sure that we have adequate labeling so mothers who go into the grocery stores know what is good for their children and what is not. I want to say one other thing about the moms.
Yeah. Tell us about the moms.
I went and spoke for the first time, and I met with the heads of all the food industry companies.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they said to us is that the worst thing for us is if we have a patchwork of legislation in all these different states, because then we're not capable of marketing nationally distributed products, because we're going to have different regulations in every state. And they didn't want that. And that's one of the reasons they came to the table with us. I want to thank.
Well, we'll see. it's as soon as this has to go into Congress for anything, it's a big muddy mess of all sorts of entangled competing interests. But good on Bobby Kennedy and the whole team there at HHS actually moving on this stuff. I think it is astounding when you see some of those basic statistics of whether it's how our young men have become a lot of fat, pathetic losers or low T soy boys, or you're starting to see how Americans' eating habits have been switched into this highly palatable consumption. Like, for instance, try to eat more than like one grilled chicken breast. Maybe you got a little bit of rice or green beans or something along with it. You're probably not going to want to eat that real quick. Like, it's not that tasty. It's fine. It's meat. But it's not that tasty. Takes a second to chew and get down. It can be a little dry. I guess you could brine it a story, but you get my point. But at the same time, it would be difficult for you to, say, put down 400, 500 calories of grilled chicken. You know how easy it is to eat 1,400 calories of, like, nacho cheese Doritos while you watch, like, half a movie or the first 30 minutes? That's what I mean by highly palatable. There's so much that we are addicted to that dopamine hit, that quick hit, as opposed to actual good sustenance. Now, am I going to stop eating Doritos because Bobby Kennedy told me not to? Probably not. It's going to have to be my own decision. This is America. You can be fat and a pathetic loser if you want to. It's a free country. You can be unhealthy. You could be like my great-great-grandfather on my dad's side saying, what's this new open heart surgery thing? Not letting you butcher me. And he dies of a heart attack in his 50s. You have that free choice. It's tragic. But you can make a tragic choice. You can make a gluttonous choice. You can make all sorts of choices. It's a free country. So I do appreciate the approach of, we'll just inform people. And then you can make your decisions after the fact on a personal basis. But I've just noticed in my own life as I hit into my 30s, of course things slow down. You can't just eat whatever you want like you used to be able to in the decade before. So I'm trying to get on top of it in the last few years, get on top of it now before it becomes much more difficult to take off, especially that weight around the waist, around the middle in your 40s and 50s and 60s. It just is more difficult over time. So I think there are a lot of people my age, a lot of folks who maybe younger didn't get caught up in this. They have more access to information. They're already making better decisions. And of course, for you, perfect people who never had an issue, good for you. This part of the program, in fact, the entire hour, brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon. Madeline joined us yesterday, and that was awesome. But Kim and Madeline are ready to help you, whether you're looking to start the home buying process. All starts with pre-approval. That way you can actually go out into the housing market with confidence as a buyer. And they'll walk with you every step of the way, from inspections, appraisals, all the way to closing day. And you're not going to get the surprises like you might have on closing day if you use some internet company or some fly-by-night organization. No, go with a true, trusted mortgage company here in the great state of Alabama. Again, that's Alabama Home Mortgage. And I believe they're licensed to do work in Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. So it could be you're looking to buy a place down on the coast. They can still help you there. And, of course, they can help you with a great refinance deal. If you're looking to refinance at home to get credit card debt off your back, or maybe you're looking to lower overhead, monthly cost, especially as you hit retirement age, or it could be, hey, I built up all this money and I want to go do a fun thing with the family and the kids where everybody goes off and starts life over again. Whatever your goals, whatever your reason, they can help you there at Alabama Home Mortgage. So call them up today, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Don't you love the feeling of coming home to a clean house? Let Southern Bell's Cleaning Service get your home in order. Families in the River region trust Southern Bell's because they know Callan and Jesse will show up on time and believe in cleaning the old-fashioned way. They bring all their own supplies and specialize in full-service, residential, commercial, vacant properties, and construction cleanup. Estimates are always free. Call Southern Bells today at 546-0715 or follow them on Facebook at Southern Bells Cleaning River Region.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
For over 40 years, Headley Plumbing has been fixing the River Region's plumbing problems with fast, affordable service. The pros at Headley are ready to respond anytime you need help, and they charge fair rates for their expert service. They help River Region homes and businesses every day, from repairing leaky faucets, septic tank service, replacing damaged sewer lines, or just unstopping a blocked drain. Trust the experts at Headley Plumbing. 285-3667. Headley Plumbing, 285-3667. Remember Headley's motto, in our business, a flush beats a full house.
Headley Metal Buildings has been your source for quality metal buildings in the River Region since 2007. Carports up to 24 feet wide, RV covers, storage buildings, even a sturdy metal barn up to 54 feet wide. Your structure can be customized, installed on level ground, and comes with a 20-year warranty. Let Headley Metal Buildings help you find the perfect solution. Financing available. Call 285-3667 for details or find Headley Metal Buildings on Facebook.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From little fender benders to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For 4 decades, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. It's still April, but we've got a forecast that is sounding more summer-like every day. Today, I think there'll be spotty showers and storms around, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Not every town will get wet. It's hit or miss, and you hear that every day in the summer. High today, 85. Low tonight, 63. Continued very warm this week. I got us around 87 on Thursday, 89 on Friday, with widely scattered isolated storms each afternoon and evening, but very small rain chances, and that continues through Saturday. Sunday, a little bit more sunshine with a high near 90. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Live local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
That's how you conduct yourself in a democracy.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Urbanite. Hey, Urbanite, how you doing?
How you doing, guys?
Good.
You know what? I'm amazed at Kennedy's frankness, but I also wonder about his fanaticism in this situation, because I think about some of my vegetarian pals in Atlanta. You know, I believe in moderation, not extremism. And I think about when he talks about sugar, if he really meant to say what he said, because I think everybody knows that sugar is better than corn syrup.
Well, I've heard that for a while.
But I'm sure mentioning corn syrup would burn too many bridges, so he had to pick on sugar.
Well, and I think his point is people are consuming way too much sugar.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
All you have to do is get some European cookies versus some American cookies, and you can see that difference.
Right, and you can still eat some delicious, baked good, but just don't do it all the time. And also on top of that, especially kids, soda. I don't drink it. It's crazy how much sugar's in soda.
Oh yeah, I think a parents are fools if they let the kid have more one soda a day. I mean, I granted don't deny the kid, but you have people out there say don't let the kid have a soda at all. But I get a kid at least one soda a day. But he's got a half in his dessert at that point.
Right.
You got to compromise somewhere. You can drink the drink with dinner, and you can half in your dessert, or you can have all your dessert. You can't have both.
Well, and it is nuts. Like, people don't think through like how easy it is to consume thousands of calories with certain foods as opposed to other types of foods. That's going to leave you satiated and feeling full, and it still can be tasty. But like, I mean, how long could you eat, like I said, Doritos or drink like 4 or 5 Dr. Peppers if you're sitting and watching a game or something?
You know, like I said, just all you have to do is look at Italy and look at Greece and all those places. Those people consume and live very well and eat very well.
Yeah.
But you look at how they're eating, what they're doing. And it wouldn't hurt to walk every once in a while or ride a bike.
Yeah, no, and I think RFK's point is not, I'm going to take away your liberties to do what you want. It's more like, let's at least inform people and not tell them, oh, yeah, you eat as much as you want, and we have a pill for that down the road. That's a failed model, I think.
And I don't think any American would object to the tax on sugar if you start taxing drinks and stuff at a separate rate as other products. I don't think anybody would object to that. Because they really are luxuries that you can do without.
I don't know if I'd want a tax on sugar or a tax on fat or all these other things. It's more, maybe we could start by not subsidizing it.
That'll work. You know what? That's a better solution. You're right. But then they'd have to raise their prices. Yeah, that would work. That would work.
Well, I appreciate the call, man.
No problem.
272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. And their River Region Contracting, Todd Clark and his fantastic team are ready to prove to you that they're the premier roofing contractor here in the River Region. They're not associated with any other roofing company, and they don't have to buy their leads. They are straight up the premier roofing contractor here in the area. So if you're thinking about your home, and owning a home is probably one of, if not the most expensive and long-term investments you're ever going to have in your life. Well, asphalt, shingled, and metal roofs should be inspected every 3 to 5 years for preventative maintenance. If you actually want to prevent a problem beforehand, you need to get that roof inspected on a regular basis. And, 3 to 5 years is a good rule. But why not do it on an annual basis, especially the way the climate changes here, the storms that can roll through? If you just want peace of mind that everything's all right, why not hit up River Region Contracting? And the beautiful thing is their inspections are always free. And so are their estimates. Say they find a problem, they'll write up that estimate for free. It's accurate. They show up on time. They do the job well. They'll sit down and explain exactly what the issue is, exactly how they're going to fix it. And if you're worried about your insurance company, they're insurance specialists there at River Region Contracting. So they can walk you through that claims process and make it a swift and easy experience. So check them out today. Again, that number for River Region Contracting, 356-8635. That's 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
Hey, it's Ashley, the owner of Pest Pro Services, and just a quick reminder about our most popular services, termite, pest, and mosquito control. And here's something you may not know, our mosquito control now covers fleas and ticks too. Building a home, call us for your termite treatment. Selling a home, call us for your real estate inspection. Whether it's your home or business, we'll keep you protected. Call or text 265-9990, that's 265-9990, or visit us on the web at ppsriverregion.com. And remember, when you want to know, call a pro.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. You're thinking of selling your home. Here are several ways to improve the look of your home and possibly the value. Number one, improve the curb appeal with trim bushes and cut the grass. Repaint the exterior where needed, and if needed, paint your front door. Number two, declutter the inside of the home by removing items that are not needed off countertops, dressers, and the den. Three, paint walls and trim where needed with a fresh coat of paint in a light color that will show off your home. Four, clean your oven and microwave inside and out, make it shine. Number five, professionally clean carpets or shine the wood floors with a polish or bona. Six, clean out all closets or unwanted clothes, shoes, belts, hats, and donate them to a local charity. Finish any leftover repairs now, doorknobs, light bulbs, and closet doors. For a complete list and an in-person evaluation and consultation, call Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group, 221-2883 or 551-0225.
Jenny King, the king of clean, delivers reliable, high-quality commercial cleaning services through a proven franchise model that empowers local business owners. Jenny King's franchise owners receive the training, support, and resources needed to succeed, while clients benefit from tailored cleaning solutions backed by a global brand. Jenny King ensures consistent results, trust, and success for everyone we serve. Go to JennyKingCleans.com and find out how we can help you. That's JennyKingCleans.com.
Jenny King, the king of clean.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1, WACV. News Talk 93.1.
And talk to Michael Cohen from Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Well, I want to touch on something, whether folks are saying the market for a new washer dryer unit or a new fridge, or maybe they want a new kick butt TV or audio equipment on the electronic side. Y'all are able to do this, what do they call it, price matching?
That's right. That's right. So when you come in to buy appliances, our guys have a special program that actually tells them what Lowe's or Home Depot or Costco is selling, whatever model they're looking for, or even if they have that model listed. But if one of them has it listed for $8.99, then that's what we're going to do. Is we're just going to charge you $8.99. If you pick it up, and then we'll charge you extra naturally if we deliver it. Same thing happens for TVs. We get a sheet every week that's got all the deals of whatever Samsung and Sony have done. And then if you're looking for a Sony 65XR70, we'll have the same price as everybody else that sells it.
And it's a fantastic way of doing things. And I know on top of that, you have the service side. So it's not only price matching, but stuff can happen, and y'all got people's back.
Well, that's right. I was talking to someone that said that when they buy from, and they work at Lowe's, but they said that when you buy from Lowe's, like for an appliance, you have like 3 days before you have to call the 1-800 number. Within 3 days, they'll take care of it. But after 3 days, it's like you're on your own and you call 1-800 who cares. And at Cohen's, you get to call us at 277-8890, and 99% of the time you get a live person. Every now and then you'll get voicemail, but we're gonna return the calls, and we're gonna get someone scheduled to come out there and work on your appliance.
Well, folks, again, whether you're looking for new appliances, new electronics, and TVs, audio solutions, refrigerators, washer dryer units, they even have an amazing grill section, all sorts of different types of grills. If you're looking for a new one of those, you can't go wrong with Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. And you can always shop from Home Peruse online at thinkcohens.com or call them direct, as Michael just said, at 277-8890. But I really encourage you to stop by. Stop by here in Montgomery on the Boulevard. That's 2515 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery. And they're open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And find Michael and be like, hey, I heard you on that radio show with that Joey Clark guy.
That's right. We just want to help you make the right choice. Come in, ask us some questions, let us ask you some questions, and Let us get you what you need delivered and installed.
Beautiful. Before I let you go, can I kick something to you that I'm seeing on Fox Business on the TV screen right now?
Yes, sir.
Google AI learns to speak dolphin. That sounds like a bunch of BS.
Oh, wow. I think that could be cool.
I mean, what even begin? What do you say to a dolphin? I don't even know at a certain point, but I
think they're looking for tuna.
Yeah, they're just going to keep saying, thanks for all the fish. Got any more fish?
Where's Starkus?
I've seen the Google AI work with like human languages and all these different AI programs. It's pretty amazing how they can translate in real time. Really amazing. But like, how do you know you're actually reaching? Like, is the dolphin following orders? Are you following the dolphin? Like, how do we make sure this is actually how they're communicating, or else that just seems silly.
Well, maybe that's the beauty of it. You get to BS yourself.
The mystery of the BS. No, and I am certainly attuned to that. Well, I appreciate it, Michael.
But one thing we don't have at Cohen is Eddie.
Oh, really?
Because Eddie is very elusive.
Well, some days more than others, some seasons more than others. If you do have a in the wild spotting, let me know, folks.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
You too, Michael. Again, that's Michael Cohen with Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Great sponsor here of the program. Final hour coming up. I still haven't gotten to Vice President Vance talking about Pete Hegseth and talking about the negotiations with Russia and Ukraine, the U.S. walking away from a Ukrainian, meeting in London just the other day because Zelensky and the Ukrainians aren't playing ball in the way Trump and them want them to. We could also get in deeper to the whole Hegseth and the leakers and the knives out in the Pentagon for them. Also a shock poll showing boomers over 70, you boomers, have the highest disapproval of Trump millennial. Highest disapproval. Trump millennials and Gen Y now are the most right-wing generation. So boomers have over 70 have the highest disapproval of Trump, whereas the millennials, Gen Y, are now the most right-wing generation. Fascinating. Y'all stay tuned. Final hour coming up.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency says Iran has now agreed to allow in a tech team from the UN nuclear watchdog to discuss restoring camera surveillance at its nuclear sites. IAEI spokesman says it is a promising sign for U.S.-Iran talks over the rogue nation's nuclear program. Longtime fixture in the Senate calling it quits next year. Illinois Democrat Dick Durbin says he will not run for re-election in 2026. Psychologists and flight attendants say they're seeing and hearing increased worries about flying these days. That comes after some high-profile air crashes in the last few months. Research now suggesting the fear of flying affects about 25 million American adults. This is SRN News.
You want to give your dogs the very best. You take them on walks and pick the best food. No matter what they're eating, you should add Dr. Phytos to every bite. Just sit back and watch them lick their bowl clean, knowing they are getting 40 carefully selected ingredients made from whole foods, spices, and fibers from bananas to sweet potatoes. Go to drphytos.com and order today. Veterinarian developed, dog trusted. Don't just take our word for it.
I have used it on 2 dogs, Kipper and Coda. I just started giving Kipper tons of the Dr. Phytos product. He actually started eating all of his food. The product has been very successful for both dogs.
Call 888-388-PAWS or go to drphytos.com, drphytos.com. And for a limited time, order now and receive a 10% discount with our money-back guarantee by using promo code BALANCE.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. It's time to get those gardens ready. From seeds to plants to fertilizer, MPM has what you need. Shop MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North, open Monday through Friday 8 to 5, Saturdays 8 to 1.
Rich Thomas weather.
Well, hi, everybody. It's still April, but we've got a forecast that is sounding more summer-like every day. Today, I think there'll be spotty showers and storms around, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Not every town will get wet. It's hit or miss, and you hear that every day in the summer. High today, 85. Low tonight, 63. Continued very warm this week. I got us around 87 on Thursday, 89 on Friday, with widely scattered isolated storms each afternoon and evening, but very small rain chances, and that continues through Saturday. Sunday, a little bit more sunshine with a high near 90. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
1819 News.
Some students and faculty at the University of Alabama are now distressed that President Trump will be coming to the state to deliver the commencement speech to graduates on May 2nd. The small minority has now taken to social media to express their shock and disgust at the idea of President Trump being involved in the ceremonies. They also claim it's an insult to students and it will not go unanswered. Assistant Professor A.J. Bauer also wrote of his disapproval, calling it shameful in light of the recent deportation of Iranian doctoral student Alireza Doroidi, who was at the University of Alabama. And another associate professor, Jessica Maddox, suggested that the university does not normally have a commencement speaker, so they are essentially creating an event just for the president to be able to speak. Maddox called it shameful as well. Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth caught wind of these social media complaints by college Democrats and said they are taking a page from the liberal radical playbook and throwing a childish tantrum. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
Wildfires broke out in southern Mobile County this week. 107 acres were burned before the blaze was brought under control. Fortunately, no homes or businesses were lost. A body was recovered from waters in Bayou La Batre by the Mobile Police dive team. The body was that of a man reported missing this past Saturday. An autopsy will be conducted to determine cause of death, although at this point, investigators do not suspect foul play. I'm Andrea Tyson.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. At PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Shut up, silly woman.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
You are a rude, terrible person.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Final hour of the program. Guess we call the show News and Views locally, but online we call it Joey Clark Live. Like and subscribe on YouTube. If you ever want to catch the show, maybe you're like wanting to call in and listen back to the call and hear your own voice. That's always a pleasant experience if you're not used to it. Just broke at 1819news.com. I'm looking at the headline here. FBI Director Patel says Redstone Arsenal to play key role in Bureau's future with more and more agents moving to Huntsville. FBI Director Patel, flanked by Senator Tuberville and Senator Britt, all both dressed a little casual as they were touring the facility. So, I think that's good for the state, but I wonder if the FBI has anything they want to look into here in Montgomery. I mean, I'm not really thinking of you, Mr. Mayor. I'm more thinking of Goat Hill over there. Maybe the FBI here in Alabama could be a good thing. But both Tuberville and Britt showing a lot of support and love for Patel, leaning so much on Redstone Arsenal. And before you know it, you are going to see announcements probably about Space Command actually being put there in Huntsville and using that massive facility. But you do have to wonder, who's going to be the first big wig in the Trump administration to be ousted? To be, you're fired. Is it going to be Hegseth? Maybe Kristi Noem? Is it going to be Pam Bondi or Kash Patel? You see a lot of these names thrown around. I don't know. We'll see. It seems the knives are out for Hegseth, but is it more the corporate media or the base who has a bigger say and sway with President Trump? We'll see. Let's go to Papa B. How you doing?
No, I'm doing okay. Yeah, about a 2-year shelf life is what these executives have that surround Trump usually.
Well, and some of these folks probably are out there listening, Papa B, like, what about Elon Musk? It's like, it's a special case. Like, give me a break, man.
He's got a few more important things to do.
Right, just a bit.
Like save Tesla, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. So what did the Dolphins talk about? Fish. Oh, there's a fish. Or shark. Swim fast. There's a shark.
Or how stupid people look in the water.
Yeah. Speaking of unintelligible, language, Al Gore is back up there and at it again.
Oh, yeah.
Blabbering, talking about something, Trump. Oh, he's not Hitler, but then again, he is Hitler. So essentially, Al Gore is saying Donald Trump is man bear pig.
Yeah, you're right.
He's back at it again, but he's never going to live that one down.
Oh, and I played that clip yesterday. It really is amazing. He's like, now I know that I'm super serial here, and I know comparing people to the Nazis is not, there's no comparison, full stop. And then after he says full stop, but let me compare the Trump administration.
Right.
And then the thing he picks is they convert every question of truth to a question of power. I'm like, ain't that what y'all been doing for decades?
Yeah. It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
They weaponize government, and then they complain about things when, our team gets in there and says, look, we're tired of y'all weaponizing government. We're going to do it. And, I don't know, stop the whole thing from happening again.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Al Gore, bless his heart. That's another way of saying something else, by the way.
I already went on my rant about that the other day.
I didn't catch that one.
No, and I've lived here my whole life. I'm born and raised here in Alabama. And rightfully so, you can't drop a GD in this state, but you can tell somebody, screw you, buddy, by invoking the Lord's name all the same. It's crazy.
Oh, man. Well, he's a washed-up politician. But still, it's entertainment at its finest. I find that's the one thing. That's the reason I watch all this political stuff. It's just it's very high value entertainment. I'd much rather watch this than any kind of TV show, wouldn't you?
No, that's the frame of mind to be in. I mean, sometimes it gets too predictable or it's annoying or whatever, but you're right. I think the right way to look at this is it's mostly entertainment for our consumption.
Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate you letting me call in. It's awful nice to talk to you again.
Thanks,
we'll
Bobby.
talk to you later. Okay?
Later. 272-9228. Again, that's 334-272-9228. Again, you saw Senator Britt and Senator Tuberville on either side of Kash Patel. And this was after a tour of Redstone. And Patel went on to say that the Redstone Arsenal is one of the gems in the FBI crown jewels. It truly is. Patel goes on saying, one of the things we've been working on together is tackling violent crime across the country. But in order to do that, you need a place for people like experts to train. That's right here in Redstone. You need a place for people to live in a community. That's right here in the state of Alabama. Both Britt and Tuberville have urged Patel to relocate more agency positions to Alabama, with Tuberville calling it a, quote, big part of the puzzle that Patel inherited as a new director. We're not looking at current threats. We're not looking at what are the future threats. Britt said at this Wednesday press conference, it is imperative that the FBI get back to doing its job, keeping Americans safe and secure. Patel said 500 more FBI employees will soon move to Huntsville, with more on the way. He goes on to say, I just want to let America know part of the move to get FBI agents and intel analysts and support staff out in the open is going to come right through Redstone Arsenal. We're going to put more and more here on a permanent basis from the FBI. By the end of the year, we're going to have 500 more FBI full-time employees living, not part-time, coming here, moving here, working here, living in communities. Patel said Redstone had capabilities that don't exist anywhere else, which he and the FBI will use to train interagency partners and international targets. We don't need to rebuild it because y'all have some great senators before you that are smart enough to have the foresight to build it right here in Redstone. Nice use of y'all. FBI Director Patel. Again, that's 272-9228. If you want to get in on the conversation, 334-272-9228. Earlier today, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, he was given a big old speech to some fancy pants international economic thing. And then he did how they give the big fancy speech and then you sit down and you do a little bit of the back and forth, a little bit of the Q&A. Yeah, this is the Q&A portion.
I think we should all congratulate President Trump. He has done what a succession of European leaders have tried to do for the past 26 years, since the advent of the euro, that whether it's the French, the Italians, other European countries have tried to get Germany to increase their fiscal spend and drive the European economy. And that I applaud these nascent efforts because it's a combination. It's a combination of economic stimulus, and it is a combination of burden sharing on the European continent for defense. And as I've said many times before, economic security is national security is economic security. So if this European plan works, that I applaud it.
No, and I love this, that Trump is driving a lot of changes that a lot of folks said, well, I mean, how do we do it? We've been trying for years. We've been asking nicely for years. And yet the Germans won't cooperate. Well, maybe if you force people to face necessity, you create certain new necessities that beforehand you don't ask so nicely is, I guess, the way to go about it. And it's not just our European friends, if you can call them that some days. It's also, well, the entire world. Most of this trade stuff is definitely focused on the Chinese. It has seemed clear as day, if you could listen to the signal through the noise, on April 2nd, when Treasury Secretary Bessent was out there. Lutnick's more the bulldog, Peter Navarro more a bulldog on this stuff. Trump himself kind of plays the middle. Bessent, I think, is the guy to really
cue off of. Actually pay attention to Treasury Secretary Besant. And it seemed very clear from what he was saying on April 2nd when they announced all these new tariffs all of a sudden that this is the high water mark. Don't retaliate, and things will get better. I believe they knew. Again, this is a whole inside-outside game. They say a lot of stuff on the outside. Who knows what the internal discussions are? They knew the main point is to box in China and to bring everybody else to the table and to do this in a big, bold way that really moves the needle, actually. Well, but here's Besant saying it's not completely China. It's not just China. Let's listen in.
Nowhere is the imbalance I mentioned earlier more obvious than in the world of trade. That's why the United States is taking action now to rebalance global commerce. For decades, successive administrations relied on faulty assumptions that our trading partners would implement policies that would drive a balanced global economy. Instead, we face the stark reality of large and persistent U.S. deficits as a result of an unfair trading system. Intentional policy choices by other countries have hollowed out America's manufacturing sector and undermined our critical supply chains.
True.
Putting our national and economic security at risk. President Trump has taken strong actions to address these imbalances and the negative impacts they have on Americans. This status quo of large and persistent imbalances is not sustainable. It is not sustainable for the United States, and ultimately, it is not sustainable for other economies. Now, I know sustainability is a popular term around here, but I'm not talking about climate change or carbon footprints. I'm talking about economic and financial stability, the kind of sustainability that raises standards of living and keeps markets afloat. International financial institutions must be singularly focused on upholding this kind of sustainability if they are to succeed in their missions.
He goes on to say in that speech that y'all have really lost the plot in terms of your role. Like, know your role, stay in your lane. But you've got the IMF, the World Bank, you got the Federal Reserve itself, all these central banks, all these institutions that are supposed to uphold a global financial and monetary order. They're getting into all the social issues themselves and the climate change issues and all. It's like you've lost the plot. There are institutions whose role is to address social issues, whose role is to address the science of this, that, or whatever. It's not the role of a central bank or a World Bank or monetary funds all over the world. It's not your role to advance all this stuff. Let the other policymakers do that. You stay in your lane and do it well. It'll help the other things down the line. Fantastic speech as always. In fact, I've been quite so far impressed with Scott Besant. Of course, we'll see. How much can happen in a month? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Uh-oh. I lost you.
Hey, no, I can hear you. What's up?
Joey?
Hey.
Joey?
Yes.
This is T.S.
Hey,
You know
T.S.
it's me, right?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
May I ask two questions that are off the topic?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Wasn't Eddie talking about iTaco the other day?
Yeah, iTaco. They brought by a burrito taco or burrito quesadilla or something. iTaco's fantastic.
Okay, that's what I was checking because they had a commercial on the thing earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's spelled AY Taco, and I think it's on Decker Lane off Atlanta Highway across from Arrowhead, and they are tasty.
Right, that's it. Perfect. When I'm out there, I've got to try it. Question number 2, the marijuana lady that you interviewed the other day.
Mm-hmm. Jennifer Boozer.
I'm sorry?
Jennifer Boozer.
Okay, because somebody wants to look her up. A good person.
Yeah.
Boozer. I hope I liked her a lot. All right, you're fantastic, and don't forget it.
Not as good as you.
Oh, stop it.
You
Thanks
stop
for
it
your time.
first. Thank you. 272-9228. Again, if you want to get in, and I'll take whatever topics, whatever you want to throw my way. We don't have many rules here. In fact, the rule is I make whatever the rules are on the fly. That's generally the the rule. I mean, there's some people who have more authority than me, then they can make the rules actually at the end of the day. But, my show, I'm king here. This ain't a democracy. Sometimes I'll be a little arbitrary. You'll be like, whoa, Joey, where'd that come from? Like, well, at the end of the day, it's my decision, ain't it? Anyway, moving on from that little weird rant, as well as from Scott Bessent, I want to go to an update from the border czar guy, this Tom Homan fellow, who I have a feeling if you appeal to pathos, if you appeal to that emotion, you pull on people's heartstrings. If you appeal to pathos, Tom Homan's going to take your pathos and eat it all up. And he's going to spit out his own pathos, his own appeals to emotion. And that's what's so remarkable about this argument, so many others, but in particular on immigration, is the amount of misery, suffering, exploitation by opening up the border and putting on a big sign, we're open for business, come on in. People want to act like, oh, it was all sunshine and lollipops. It didn't cause any, perverse incentives that certainly helped some of the worst organizations on the face of the earth, help them to exploit some of the most vulnerable people on the face of the earth. So Tom Homan's going to address that direct. And remember, this guy's been doing this for something like 40 years. Let's listen in.
Because I spent over 40 years doing immigration enforcement and border security. We've never been where we're at right now. The most secure border in history of this nation right now. Lives are being saved every day. Migrant lives under Joe Biden.
Somebody tell that van to stop backing up. The beeping's driving me crazy.
Over 4,000 illegal aliens died making this journey to the United States. Yep. How is that humane?
400,000.
That's an historic record. And again, 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl. How is that humane? They want to say our administration is inhumane. We're not giving due process. We're saving lives by the thousands every day. The wall, everybody's screaming and yelling about the wall going up. Every place we built a border barrier, illegal immigration went down. Illegal drug flow went down. But no one talks about? The wall saves lives. Women and children can't get over that wall. So that means they're going to a place where there's not a wall. And what's waiting on them? The men and women, the border patrol, who's going to deal with those health issues in a humanitarian crisis. Walls save lives. Just secure borders saves lives. President Trump saving thousands of lives every day by securing that border. And we're going to continue, despite what the district court says. Maybe we got to hold off on some of the deportation operations we're doing, but that's not going to stop us from seeking these people out, arresting them, and taking them off the street to the United States while we wait for the courts to decide, about the Alien Enemies Act, these other things. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to arrest these public safety threats every single day, 24/7 across this country. That will not stop.
Great pick there. Yeah, Holman ain't backing down. And I think he drives a good argument. The way things have been done for way too long, and it was often a bipartisan agreement, it's not the humane approach. The very system the incentives you're setting up is leading to, what did he just say? 400,000 people died in making the journey? How many missing children are now in the country, but not with their parents? And this is the stuff that drives me up a wall, is like, in the name of being humane, in the name of caring for the least of these and the marginalized, you completely let your compassion guide you to the detriment of the rest of your mind and being. Because it's a compassionate thing to do, we got to do it. Well, what are the trade-offs? Is this a wise thing to do? You might think it's loving, but is it wise to do? Is it prudent? Are we actually being courageous? Are we actually serving justice? Are you actually giving people hope, giving people love and charity? Is this policy actually effectuating that? Or does it have costs like anything else you might do? And I haven't even mentioned the actual cost to citizens. Just thinking on a human basis. We're all God's children. Just a human basis, how's this working out? How does it work out that you have these transnational drug cartels running the country to your south, right across the border, festering in your hemisphere? It's not a good thing. And it's not humane. He drives a great point. Another great pick there by the president. Shifting gears, let's go to the vice president. J.D. Vance being asked these questions on the tarmac. In particular, he is, along with Steve Witkoff and a few others, J.D. Vance is playing a crucial role in a lot of the negotiations, in particular between the United States, Ukraine, and Russia, or however you say it. So here's Vance talking about, well, a very explicit proposal they've given to both the Russians and the Ukrainians. And that's the message. It's been coming from Marco Rubio. It's been coming, I believe, from the president himself. And here is J.D. Vance reiterating the point. The United States' patience to actually get a deal done here is wearing thin. Let's listen in to the vice president.
We've issued a very explicit proposal to both the Russians and the Ukrainians, and it's time for them to either say yes or for the United States to walk away from this process. We've engaged in an extraordinary amount of diplomacy, of on-the-ground work. We've really tried to understand things from the perspective of both the Ukrainians and the Russians. What do Ukrainians care the most about? What do the Russians care the most about? And I think that we've put together a very fair proposal. We're going to see if the Europeans, the Russians, and the Ukrainians are ultimately able to get this thing over the finish line. Again, I feel pretty optimistic about it. I think everybody has been negotiating in good faith, but it's now time, I think, to take, if not the final step, one of the final steps, which is at a broad level, the party saying, we're going to stop the killing, we're going to freeze the territorial lines at some level close to where they are today, and we're going to actually put in place the kind of long-term diplomatic settlement that hopefully will lead to long-term peace.
Guy makes a lot of sense. But Trump coming out with a fiery statement on Truth Social today, directed directly at Zelensky. Trump writes, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is boasting on the front page of the Wall Street Journal that Ukraine will not legally recognize the occupation of Crimea. There's nothing to talk about here. This is a long statement, so I'm going to stop with the Trump voice. But the president goes on to say this statement is very harmful to the peace negotiations with Russia, and that Crimea was lost years ago under the auspices of President Barack Hussein Obama. It is not even a point of discussion. Nobody is asking Zelensky, Trump goes on, to recognize Crimea as Russian territory. But if he wants Crimea, why didn't they fight for it 11 years ago when it was handed over to Russia without a shot being fired? The area also houses, for many years, the Obama handover major Russian submarine bases. It's inflammatory statements like Zelensky's, the president goes on, that make it so difficult to settle this war. He has nothing to boast about. The situation for Ukraine is dire. He can have peace, or he can fight for another 3 years before losing the whole country. I have nothing to do with Russia, says Donald Trump, but have much to do with wanting to save, on average, 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers a week who are dying for no reason whatsoever. The statement made by Zelensky today will do nothing but prolong the quote-unquote killing field, and nobody wants that. We are very close to a deal, but the man with no cards to play should now finally get it done. I look forward to being able to help Ukraine and Russia get out of this complete and total mess that would have never started if I were president. And there, actually, I wholeheartedly agree with Trump. I think if Trump had still been in there, you would not have seen this war. There were so many off-ramps to this war. In fact, I don't think you see the tragedy of what's happened after October 7th in Israel and Gaza. I think the whole plan of the Abraham Accords was actually working. Boxing in on the Iranians, keeping your foot on the neck of the Iranians. While you bring peace together, you bring integration together with our Arab allies in Israel. And yet the Biden administration scuttles it. And we now have this war where hundreds of thousands are dead in the Eastern European plain between Russia and Ukraine. And how many tens of thousands are now dead there in the so-called Holy Land? It's nuts. But Trump is the president now. He's going to have to see these things through. And speaking of Iran. I think the Iran question is very much what's driving the attacks on Pete Hegseth. Now, I always suspected Hegseth would be more gung-ho for bombing Iran. But these folks that they've walked out were not just working for Hegseth, but had been friends, had been colleagues for Hegseth for years and years and years. One that has come out very forcefully saying, I didn't leak at all, is Dan Caldwell. Dan Caldwell is a former Marine. Because of his experience in Iraq and Afghanistan, Dan Caldwell, especially working with veterans after the fact, that's where he first met Hegseth at their nonprofit supporting veterans. The amount of divorces, in particular for some units, are something like 90%. So you have broken homes, broken families because of these wars. The suicide rate is much higher than is often reported. In fact, in some cases, you have more men who die from suicide once they get back home than who died on the battlefield. So because of these firsthand experiences, Dan Caldwell's like, well, I'm going to push for peace. No more wars of choice. I saw what it did to my generation. I saw what it did to my friends. So if we go to war, it needs to be the last resort. And given there have been noises made by corporate media and the official organs of power and the voice of power in Washington, D.C. for 2 decades now that Iran's on the brink of a nuke, which everybody generally agrees, no, Iran shouldn't have a nuke. In fact, proliferation should be stopped altogether. And in fact, the United States, Russia, and China should probably reduce their stockpiles. But given that people have been pushing for this war, for this attack for 2 decades now, it makes me think this is not like we must do it like right now, man. We got to do it like tomorrow. So I appreciate Trump pushing back. But it's interesting how the leakers all seem to be the guys who are working in the Defense Department under Hegseth, who were much more hesitant to get into more wars of choice. They're the ones being walked out and accused of leaking. Dan Caldwell joined Tucker Carlson about a day or two ago. Here's the key clip I want to present. Again, this is the guy who's just fired. And Tucker asked him a few direct questions given the news of the day.
Totally direct with you. Did you leak classified information against the wishes of your superiors to media outlets?
Absolutely not.
Did you photograph classified material and then text pictures of that material to an NBC News reporter?
Absolutely not. And I have not spoken to an NBC reporter while at the Pentagon.
Do you know what you've been accused of?
No, I don't. Sitting here right now, myself and Darren Selnick and Colin Carroll, the other 2 individuals that were escorted out of the Pentagon, initially placed on leave and then fired on Friday, we have not been told as of this recording, 1, is there what we were being investigated for? 2, is there still an investigation? And 3, was there even a real investigation? Because there's a lot of evidence that there is not a real investigation. But again, sitting here right now, there are a lot of unknowns about this. As a former Secretary of Defense would say, there's a lot of unknown unknowns. There are some things that are pretty clear, but we have no idea what specifically being investigated.
So we can know some things just by the details. So here are a couple. Have you been polygraphed?
No, I've never been hooked up to a polygraph machine since I've been in the Department of Defense.
Okay. Have you given up your private communications devices, your private phone, your phone?
No.
To anybody?
No.
Okay. So that raises the obvious question. I'm trying not to use the F word here because the lying is just driving me insane. You're being accused of leaking classified information, but the people accusing you would have no way of knowing whether you did that or not because they haven't polygraphed you or taken your devices, your private devices, correct?
I mean, there are.
You can't even make the allegation because there's no conceivable way you can prove that.
Let me just say, there are so many different things that would prevent me from doing the things that you've laid out. And again, I don't even know if that's what I'm really being investigated for. Again, if there's a real investigation, but all these, the point is so what I have told some people who have asked me about what's going on is I would repeat something that I heard in the Marine Corps in our work up to Iraq. I believe it was in something called a combat hunter course, which isn't what it sounds like. It's actually about observing things better. And I remember an instructor very clearly saying, when you're in this environment, believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you say. And I think this needs to apply to this situation.
Yeah, the problem with it is...
before I keep going with it, that's just a good rule of thumb for all the news. All of it. Just assume most of it's BS being thrown your way. Even the stuff you like, we're like, that's some tasty BS, but I better be careful. I shouldn't eat too much of this stuff. Anyway, let's keep going.
It's just a very serious allegation that you betrayed your boss and friend, Pete Hegseth, who you've worked with for like over a decade, who you supported from the very beginning. I think that's all. I don't want to speak for you, but you're being accused of betraying Hegseth, who's under attack from people who want a war with Iran. Let's just be totally blunt about it. And so you're being accused of betraying him, betraying the president, and committing a crime. That's a crime. So this is not just like, hey, Dan Caldwell's got, bad taste in neckties. This is like Dan Caldwell's a criminal.
Yeah, it's just... There's sometimes I think it just hasn't fully set in with me and
Yes.
what's going on. And I want to talk about the two other gentlemen that are going through this with me. And what's going on with them in some ways is more infuriating because, as you said, I have a public profile. I took some what shouldn't be controversial positions, but are. And, I was out there, advancing things that a lot of people in the foreign policy establishment didn't want. Doesn't justify what's happening to me, but that,
It's crazy. And then when you go to these clips of Hegseth talking about, we got the leakers.
So I just want to be totally...
We got all the leakers. We got them dead to rights, and we're going to march them out of the Pentagon. They're fired. It's interesting how they're like all Hegseth's buddies. Something isn't adding up here. We'll go real quick to another Tucker Carlson clip. And this was Tucker talking about the guy he was just interviewing, Dan Caldwell. This is Tucker talking to a guy. It was January 25th of this year when this was released, talking to Kurt Mills, who I believe is the editor or executive director for the American Conservative. And they're talking about how strong Caldwell is on a true America First foreign policy. How strong he is on actually the agenda so many Americans thought they were voting for when they voted in Donald Trump. Let's just listen in, adding context, connecting the dots a little bit here.
Well, who I think of as a man of genuine integrity, high intelligence, and principle, committed to his country. I think he's proven that.
Yeah.
I honestly think he's like a wonderful person. But he's being attacked by people who never served with a long, unbroken track record of destroying America as somehow anti-American.
Yeah.
How does this work?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the tactics are pretty clear. So, no one reads anything. Everybody's
fair.
Everybody's cynical, confused.
Yeah. Says the magazine.
Yes.
Nobody reads anything.
Yeah. Okay.
You're right.
Get a headline out there. Call someone a naughty word. Say they're anti a country, or they are radical. If anyone sues this publication, it will take years and years and years, and hope that some club member at Mar-a-Lago hands this to President Trump and tries to trick him and thinks that Mr. Trump is a stupid man. And this is the approach, and this is what they are trying to do.
That's exactly.
And it is a cyclone. The word has been abused by the Democrats.
They've done this to me. Yes.
Yeah, but this is actual disinformation.
Yes.
I hate to use the word, But like,
what are the publications? Who are the people involved in this campaign of lies?
Okay. I mean, I'm not familiar and I don't know any of the people over there personally, but the big story that's going around on both Domino and I believe Caldwell is from Jewish Insider. And again, no one really wants to be, attacked by something called Jewish Insider. It doesn't sound very fun. And so they are running headlines against people and they are attacking them. And what they do is they don't say anything that is per se inaccurate, but they totally strip the context.
Yep, and that's a classic trip of the corporate press. They're factual, but not truthful. The way they can frame things with a few selective facts can leave you with a very false impression of what's going on. Again, that clip I just played was from January of this year, several months before the guy we heard before that, Dan Caldwell, was fired. So the knives have been out for these folks before they were even put in the job. The kicker is Hegseth's all like, yeah, we found the leakers and we got the leakers and stuff. What the heck are they doing to this guy? I think they are cutting him off from his support staff, stabbing his closest colleagues in the back, and somehow convincing Pete to put his own fingerprints on the knife as he's more and more isolated. The deep state is a lot deeper than some might think. Right now, they might very well be laughing in a lot of our faces. Oh, you think you're going to reform the Pentagon? We'll show this guy. It's crazy. We'll see it play out. But it just goes to show that if you try to, rock their canoe, as I said earlier, they're very swift to push you out before you take everybody else down. And they're very good at what they do. Very good. As we're talking about with Jeff Poore, in particular, the Pentagon's propaganda office, their PR office, the Pentagon's messaging wing, they're very, very good at what they do. And if you try to take them on even from within the Pentagon, even from a position of authority like Secretary of Defense or President of the United States, you might be shocked how well the Pentagon is at defending itself rather than America first. Heck, a lot of you may be serving aren't shocked at all. And yet you serve all the same, and I respect you for it. Because we want it to be the best. We want it to be the ideals and the brand that we believe in. But when push comes to shove, human nature always rears its ugly head. And even the Department of Defense will defend itself before it defends America first. Well, all this blathering's got me a little hungry, and luckily we got a great sponsor for that called Smokehouse Pit Barbecue. Same location they've always been all these years, Main Street in Millbrook, but they're back under these new owners to the original recipes. And one of the owners, he works the pit. He is a true pit master. And so if you're looking for kick butt barbecue pulled pork sandwiches, ribs, brisket, camp stew, maybe you want a baked potato with a bunch of barbecue on top of it, along with that butter and sour cream and cheese and bacon and all that. Oh, they got it. They have all that there. They have an amazing meat and 3 for lunch. So whether you're looking to dine in or take out for lunch or dinner, Smokehouse Pit Barbecue is the place to go. And of course, don't forget about their true down-home Southern breakfast. They do Tuesday through Sunday. You got to try the cheese grits. And when you stop by there, again, Main Street in Millbrook, be sure to tell the fine folks there at Smokehouse that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. When you call Alabama Home Mortgage, You will immediately see the difference in pricing. Not only do we offer the most competitive rates, but our closing costs rank among the lowest in the industry. How do we do it? Because we can. We do not have the overhead that big banks and lenders do. Those big banks and lenders have big expenses. And what do? They pass those expenses along to you. Meanwhile, here at Alabama Home Mortgage, we receive wholesale rates which result in big savings that we pass along to you. Don't pay more for less. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our rates and pricing are just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hello there. This is Dr. Sam, account executive with Blue Water Broadcasting. Why should you advertise with us? Well, radio is the number one reach medium, and it's everywhere, in cars, offices, homes, gyms, and even in stores. Radio advertising can efficiently get your message across to a large number of people. Contact me, Dr. Sam, by going to bluewaterbroadcasting.com to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business. Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. We've got a forecast. It's not summertime yet, but it's sounding more and more like that familiar pattern. Could be some spotty showers and thunderstorms well into the evening hours tonight, with the low temperature very mild down to about 63. Then for tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, the forecast is very similar, with widely scattered, mostly isolated storms, most prominent in the afternoon and evening hours each day. Some towns get lucky, other towns do not. High around 87 Thursday, will be around 89 Friday and Saturday. A little bit more sunshine by Sunday with a high near 90. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE's 25 and 25 has you covered. For just $25 in closing costs, you can tap into your home's equity. No hidden fees, no headaches, just extra cash. Visit your local ASE Credit Union branch today. Federally insured by NCUA, NMLS 420259. Terms apply.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your cause, your ASE.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Up? Yeah. So you're way up with cocaine more than anything else you can think of.
Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie. You know what I'm saying?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I just saw a commercial for Martin Scorsese's presentation of The Saints on Fox Nation or something. I'm not paying money for that. But I'm wondering, like, when Scorsese's like addressing, say, some of the lady saints, it's like, were really all the saints that smoking hot? That doesn't make any sense. Like, how is it that every saint is like some good-looking gal? That's not usually how it works. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying that beautiful women can't be saints. They can. Just saying that's not. When I think of the saints, I'm not thinking that. I'm usually thinking of some warts and stuff. Like they've had a hard go of it, unless they. Anyway, let's go to Robert. Hey, Robert, how are you doing?
Hey guys, I love the show, but I'm gonna go back to Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, and I'm sure they've looked at this because they're all way smarter than me. But there needs to be a team too, an entire team. You go down in the military, pick you out a light colonel, and you give him the mission. And the mission is to surround me with people that are not trying to sabotage me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just fire everybody because that's, in other words, the Pentagon and all of them supposed to be working for us, right? To be up there and being anonymous, this and that and other thing does not help America at all. At all.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
Okay, cool. Hey, anyway, and then the other thing I wanted to tell you is when I was referring back to Jesus being baptized, there was no cameras to film it there, so you have to imagine it.
Well,
In other words, it was over 2,000 years ago. That's
Right.
what I was getting at. And hey, Joey, thanks for letting me on. That's all I wanted to say. See you, brother.
Later. Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey.
Hey, Lori. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Great.
I heard you mention earlier that you know a place that has CBD gummies.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't find them. And I was wondering if you would give me the name of the place or text it to me.
Hold on. Because I just think of it as the place.
I'm hoping it will help with anxiety and insomnia.
It's called Your CBD Store. And it's Minnie Brown Road here in Montgomery. It's kind of on the back end of East Chase.
Minnie Brown Road.
8852 Minnie Brown Road.
Okay. Appreciate it, hon. Thank you.
Thank you. Tell them Joey sent you. We got to hit another break. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Erdis. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Have you been thinking about selling your home? Let me ask you, would you want to trust your biggest investment with a part-time agent? You know, the kind who can't make your property a priority until after work at their real job? I'm Hannah Grantham, and you don't get that with us.
That's right. And I'm Eddie Bader. And if they're not focused 100% on your home, can they really even get you top dollar?
I couldn't agree more. We're top producing agents with a reputation for getting results. No side gigs here at Forest Meadows Homes and Land.
So call us today at 334-368-6358 and let us show you why who you have on your sign really matters.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ben. If your vehicle has seen better days, fear not, help is on the way. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa Express has added a professional detail shop. Specialized techniques and products are used to get your vehicle back to showroom shape. Hand washing, waxing, stain removal, odor removal, shampooing, minor scratch removal, and more. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa Express, next to Fraser Church on the Atlanta Highway. Come by for a free estimate. Look like you've been to Mr. Ben's.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Closing moments of the program here. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Well, I'm home changing the shorts right now. It's 90 degrees. It's hot as the devil. Dad always says, we can't wear shorts. It's just not professional. I'm like, Dad, when we first started the business, we wore shirts and ties. That went out the window years ago. I think what it is, he thinks my legs are ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, grown man not wearing pants is kind of a, even if you got shorts on, it I don't know, some people might not like it. It doesn't bother me, but, you know, I see his point.
I mean, you go to any car lot, they're all wearing shorts. He's like, well, they're working outside. And I'm like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm heading to measure the huge area outside porch. I'm like, no, I'm going home to put shorts on. He'll never see me. So don't call and tell on me, guys, because he'll never see me.
Okay. Yeah. If you find Ray wearing shorts, he was always wearing pants. He wears
always
pants.
wearing pants. You've never seen me in a pair of shorts, and I'll blind you with these white legs of mine. But listen, if you need outdoor tile, like porches done around a pool deck, you need epoxy in the garage, or any floors in the house, call us at 285-8117. We'll come out and give you that free measurement.
Again, that's 285-8117. And yeah, especially y'all have got that under your belt now. Those new epoxy floors look amazing. So that's pretty cool.
They really do. We just put some in City Hall. They look really good.
So again, 285-8117. And be sure to say, hey, I heard Ray Bowles on the radio talking about how he always wears pants.
Guys, y'all have a great day.
Appreciate it, Ray. I'm trying to think about what I learned today. Learned a few things. But in particular, I like seeing a little bit of hope, even as the deep state keeps striking back. They're trying to slow things down, trying to take out the best of us. I didn't have time to get to the whole Jordan Peterson weighing into the woke right debate and yada, yada. I guess we can do that another day. But that's one of the big brouhahas online. The whole, who is woke right? No, you're woke. No, you're woke right. Ugh. It at times feels like we're talking past one another. But maybe that's the point of a lot of people involved in that debate. We can get to that tomorrow. Oh, we learned RFK Jr. serious about making America healthy again. I like that very much. We learned that J.D. Vance is still on top of his game. I also like that very much. But I didn't learn too much else. Oh, that things are kind of going swimmingly as they close out the Alabama legislative, the state legislative session. Seems like it's going to be smooth sailing. Oh, and we also learned about how AI now allows people to talk to dolphins. What a crock of...
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRM News, I'm Jason Walker. If you are afraid to fly, you're not alone. Psychologists and flight attendants say they are seeing and hearing more increased worries about